and it is a couple of hours before my players will be showing up for the Sunday night game. So thank you for popping in, and let's see what we got to chat about today. First off, let me go ahead and put a link in the chat so that my bros can hop in if they want. Man, we'll see who gets the reference on the name of the or the description of the chat. Sounds like my wife is listening to the LFR family or something in there again. She's a fan of those guys. I mean, I'll be honest, so am I. So, one of my favorite things in the world to do, and this might sound a little bit racist. I don't care if somebody thinks it is, though. But one of my favorite things to do is to listen to or watch Black people react to music that they thought was performed by a Black person, but was actually performed by a white person. That, to me, I love it. I absolutely love it. Because, I mean, I love when certain stereotypes just get freaking killed, I really do. I like when some stereotypes get put into the ground because some of them, that's what they need, They need to be put into the ground. And I'm not even saying stereotypes are false because, I mean, they exist for a reason. And that reason is because, on average, certain stereotypes are true. And I don't mean like the most hateful ones. Hey, what's up, Satya? And how you doing, James? I mean, some people make hateful stereotypes like all Sami or thieves or something like that. And I don't know if that's true. But, if you say all white guys like barbecued ribs, I mean, you're pretty much going to be right in the neighborhood because, like, most white guys do, in fact, love barbecued ribs. I mean, it is a thing. But how you doing, Daniel Barry? I hope things are awesome where you are. And yeah, my bro Double D got to go see a hockey game like a week ago. I'm a little jealous. I think he said he saw Blackhawks. Of all the sports that, like, I would go out of, I had game tonight, pitted death night. Oh, man. Unless there were a lot of fourth level fighters, that would be a tough fight. Well, depending on the death night, When I hear death night, my brain immediately goes to like Lord Soth. And it's like, really? I mean, Lord Soth, that guy is. But yeah. Not somebody you would ever want to, fight with, let's just say. But well, if it was an accident, if you accidentally put them up against a monster that now there's just no way they could ever beat, then I think, and some DMs might disagree with me, but I think that if you make a mistake that leads to a TPK, then it's completely acceptable for a DM to, mea culpa and like reset and say, look, we're not going to do that. This is something that used to be a big issue. Oh, of course, Bruce told me too late, don't glue it together before you paint it. It's glued together. But thank you, Bruce, for the advice. I wish I'd listened. I've been clearing stuff out of my room. I cleared something out earlier. Once I organize these books and stuff here, I'm going to be moving this table. So you won't see this junk behind me all the time anymore. What I'm doing is moving this stuff off of my box of Vallejo artist paints. And because I'm painting some gnomes. Well, see, that's the problem, though. Okay, right there. That is not your problem then. Because players need to know that you have to run sometimes. It makes the world more believable. It's like the other day, somebody was telling me the players were walking across the wilderness, and they looked up and they saw like a green dragon fly overhead. I personally love that because it reminds the players that there's a big world out there, and this world is not divided up into level appropriate zones. You know, when you go out into the world, you don't know what you could encounter, and it could be, you know, I mean, I always tell the story of my guys were traveling through my homebrew campaign world, this forest, and they heard, the rangers heard it first, you know. So what they decided to do is hide, and while they were hidden, hey, RPG Dad, how you doing, sir? While they're hidden, a hill giant walked by, and it had like a whole dead brown bear over its shoulder, is taking it back to its lair to eat it, right? And the players stayed hid, which was good because they were like level 3, and that hill giant would have just smashed the shit out of all of them, right? But it let the players know, hey, you know, we're in this forest in the foothills of the Razortooth Mountains, and there are giants around here. So maybe we need to be a little bit, you know, a little bit more careful with how we travel around, you know. That's good. That's there's a fancy word for it. I think it's similitude, you know, where, yeah, if the players encounter something really powerful, but they have a way to escape, then I'm agreeing with you. At that point, it's on them. They should have freaking got the hell out of Dodge. You know, it's like, but some players, they think of the game, like I said, like wherever they go is going to be a challenge appropriate zone, right? But that's not how a real world works, you know? It's not like your character would ever wake up and be in the level 1 zone. And then, you know, as he levels, all of a sudden, you know, the whole world is changing. No. And the opposite of that theory, for me at least as a DM, is occasionally, even if you've got a group of level 7 or 8, hey, what's up, Fluffy Reprobate? I am pretty fluffy today. Yeah. Occasionally, even if you've got a higher level character group, throw some orcs or goblins at them. Even if they easily kill, you know, the 10 or 15 orcs or goblins you throw at them, it reminds them that the world makes sense, that there's a logic to the world. The orcs and goblins don't vanish when you turn level 5. They're still out there, right? And when you're level 2, there's still giants in the mountains. You know, it's like, it's on you to know when to run, and, or, you know. I was filling away today, Bear, so the description of my channel is I'm digging through my muscles. I'm looking for a clue or some shit like that. No, it's listen, child. You know, because somehow my wife and I were talking and Young came up. And as soon as Young came up, oh, that show you were on, they were talking about Young. And I said, that was the worst thing Legion Myth could have done, because I immediately had to log off and listen to Tool. Because 46 plus 2 is all about Jungian psychology. That's the whole. So I'm sitting here just like, you know how that song starts.
Yeah.
Or that like.
It's funny. I played I played a little stupid for that conversation because I was gonna get insulting, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna act like a dumb goofball instead and get less insulting real quick.
I'll tell you what. I don't know who Bacon is, but he has a very impressive beard.
Yes, he has a hell of a beard.
That is one hell of a beard that guy is rocking. And I was over here chatting with some of my bros, but I told everybody, I was like, right now, Bears at Legion of Myth. And if you guys want to go watch that, go watch that. I'm just effing around,
I'm not
but
gonna
I watched
lie.
like the first hour of it or so, and I think you were making some great points about stuff,
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. But it's also like I literally okay.
The Canadian reprobate, Big Vic
Yes.
says, you're practically a Canadian yourself, man.
Yeah, shut up, Vic. You wish you were Canadian. You stand there in the cold winter days looking northward, longing for our health care. Anyway.
I saw Saskatchewan the other day.
Saw Saskatchewan?
My wife found that there's a new season of Alone. And this time they've dumped all the survivors out in Upper Saskatchewan.
Rough place.
Yeah, there's this big river up there, and it's got like 10,000 islands, or whatever number they said. So these people are all running around their islands looking for blueberries and trying to catch anything. Starving to death and shit in Saskatchewan. But when you said about the Slavs moving there, I was like, it does look like Russia. that looks like
that's one of the things, right? I mean, it's one of the things. Like, there's a lot of Slavic and Hungarian culture in the middle of our country. And what's really neat about Saskatchewan is as you get north and north and north, you get like Lake Athabasca and stuff like that. It's insanely crazy up there, You don't get a lot of people living in the north.
Competing is an Athabascan.
They're in Athabasca? Yeah, that's the far north.
From Alaska, but he is actually of the Athabascan tribe.
Okay.
So we'll see how he does, I mean.
And Athabasca is out there, baby.
There's this big Midwestern corn-fed Viking, named Olson. And, there's a Canadian guy and, good mix. We'll see. Okay.
I'm actually thinking in a year or so about relocating to Regina, the town that rhymes with fun.
It's Canadian for fun.
Yeah, Regina, the town that rhymes with fun.
Well, that is where one of the most famous Canadians comes from.
Yes. Well, Ryan Reynolds aside, the nice part about it is that Saskatoon is very liberal, very hippy dippy, very artsy fartsy, where Regina is more Bible Belty conservative. So I'm not a young man anymore. I don't need strip clubs. I'll go to the town that is more calm and less violent. You know what I mean? Just that simple.
Yeah. It looked beautiful to me, but I can't talk my wife into moving anywhere cold. Like Tennessee, Kentucky's about as cold as she is.
It's fucking cold. Like in the winter, it's like crazy cold.
See, I like cold.
Me too.
That's something like Hungar can tell you. I love cold. The winter is always my favorite part of the year. I actually enjoy being cold. You spent 200 euros, and the euro is pretty keeping it like neck and neck with the dollar right now too. So pretty close. I know it fluctuates back and forth depending. Yeah, Poland spent some euros the other day too. 1.5 billion euros on U.S.-made air-to-air missiles. It's like, Poland, what are you doing?
Pairing.
Like, what are you up to, Poland? Somebody said Poland is like the Texas of Europe. It's just like they're just like, if I
was a younger man, honestly, if I was a younger man, I'd be considered. If I was 10 years, maybe 15 years younger, I'd be looking at moving to Poland.
I have heard one of the most beautiful places for American expats to move to in Europe is like Hungary.
Yeah, I would never live in Eastern. No, no. Hungary, no.
Like
The
Budapest
Balkans, no.
is supposed to be just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to take a hard pass on living in crazy town Europe. I watch enough videos about what life is like over there to go, no.
Well, I mean, you don't want to live in Serbia or anything.
Serbian women are hot, though.
They might be, but I mean, at any minute,
No,
some
that's the
shit's
problem.
bust
So,
out.
given that there's any minute shit's going to bust out in Europe, period, I think I'll pick the place that's the most don't fuck with us, which is Poland.
They are that way. My thoughts, Big Vic, is hopefully if he survives long enough to go to DaveCon next year, that would be amazing. I mean, Rob Kuntz, he's one of the original TSR guys.
Okay.
He's actually one of the few original TS. I think maybe him and Metzer are all that's left. There's not too many of them. And the only reason he's still alive is when he started working for Gary Gygax. He was like 17 or some shit. So, you know what I mean? He was a kid. He got a job and he was an editor and he wrote a bunch of stuff and did a bunch of stuff. And he's a cool old dude. He's got a channel where he talks about old TSR stuff. And he's got like a Union forage hat, you know, like a Shaco he wears with the bugle on the top. And I mean, I like Civil War shit, blue or gray.
Yeah, most Americans do. Most Americans do. Like, you have to understand, your guys' obsession with the Civil War doesn't quite play the same in the rest of the world. We're like, we don't see it as this like deep moment in the democracy of the West. We just see it as, oh yeah, those guys got mad at each other for a while, did they? Oh, cool. Yeah, like it's just how we see it, right?
Well, the Civil War is like, if you're from the North, you were fighting this virtuous war to free people from slavery, which sucks. People shouldn't be slaves, right? And then, of course, if you're from the South, America has this really weird underdog complex. So even though the South lost, it's like, but we fought. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the way, it's just the way Americans are. We love underdogs. And
so that's why you don't love us anymore, because we're gonna kick an ass up here. Oh, okay.
I think we've always liked you guys. We liked you enough to give you one of the tougher beaches.
Cask has TDS. What's Trump derangement syndrome?
Yeah, Cask is pretty whatever. But
I had Tim Cask on my show. He was great. I wanted him to be my grumpy old grandfather.
You know what? If people don't bring it up, then it ain't nobody's business. But
also, he's old enough that he's at that don't give a fuck part of being alive. You know, like he just gets to go.
That is
I don't
the
give a
best
fuck
part
what
about
you
being
think.
like 80.
Yeah,
you know, you're just like, yep, don't care.
Do not give a fuck what you think.
I am too old.
And I admire that about the fucker.
Kind of like the cop in Fifth Element when the guy speeds by and the cop's like, I am too old, too tired, and too hungry. And then the other guy speeds by and knocks the freaking drink on him. And he's like, oof. He goes after him then.
What movie is this?
The Fifth Element, when the cops are at the
McDonald's. Oh, yeah.
And he like side swipes and like knocks their drink on the one guy. And he's like, and the whole time he's all like, hey, I think we're okay. Usually if they don't chase you within the first mile, you're all right. And then it pans behind him. There's like 9 cop cars.
Let's make goblins good.
Yeah, let's make goblins good.
The only good goblin is a dead goblin.
Yeah, exactly. Time to make some good goblins.
Let's make that. I'm saving you. I'm saving you. Double tap.
Double tap. Yeah, I mean, we gave you guys probably the second hardest beach at D-Day.
Dude, Juneau was the hardest beach at D-Day.
You know,
no,
I'm
do your math on that one. Come on now. Everyone agrees Juneau was the hardest fucking beach.
Everyone but me.
and the Canadians took it. And then we went inland so far. You guys were calling us going, no, too far, come back.
Well, we didn't want everybody to get all strung out all over the place. What's up?
Sorry, what? What?
I said we didn't want everyone to get too strung out all over the place.
Well, the point is, though, no, but we so the deal was this was how far everyone was expected to push in, right? And Canada's the only one who made it. So we were kind of getting far ahead of everybody else, but we were doing all right, team, let's go. All right, elbows up, sticks on the ice, come on, like fuck.
Well, we were actually really lucky that communications was really sucky because the commander on the beach was calling for a retreat.
Really?
On the American beach.
I don't know.
But the message never went through.
Good thing.
Because they were getting massacred right up until the Rangers found their way up the cliff,
Yeah, at one road that went between the two beaches, basically.
Omaha were getting freaking lambasted.
Yeah, it was just luck of the draw on like how bad it was, but it was also how you guys deployed. You guys had a real problem with your deployment, and then that was the big problem America had at that point in the time. It was shitty fucking leadership. But the nice part, and I don't mean this to sound shitty or mean, but the nice part about D-Day, it sorted out your leadership right fucking quick. You know what I mean?
That's how it works. Yeah.
When you guys were done that day, it was like either all the bad leaders were dead or clearly figured out, well, I need to fucking change how I do things and start listening to my sergeants.
Well, that's a good advice for any officer. Listen to the NCOs.
Yeah.
But this is for Leth. Yesterday I saw a short about a German officer talking about American Sherman tanks, and he had nothing but positive shit to say about them. He said that they have light armor, they have like a bad gun, and yet they're so mobile that they come out of nowhere, and then they vanish just as quick. He's like, our Tigers are like moving fortresses, but we cannot keep up with them. The Sherman tank is the perfect mobile or tank for mobile combat. That's why
the Sherman's the best tank of the war.
Yeah, that's why I keep telling people. They don't want to believe it. Yep.
When you take numbers into consider, I mean, a Tiger was a better tank, but is it a better tank than 10 Shermans?
The a better tank, though.
Actually, the Tigers were a lot better.
Listen, you know why they don't want to admit that the Sherman was the great tank, James? They took a bath on those T-80s.
Gross point blank.
Yep.
Bam. Easy there, Sparky. I don't see gunshot wound on the menu. I love that movie. It's so witty. When he's like, I'll have the omelet. What do you want on it? Nothing, just egg white. She's like, that's not really an omelet, is it? And he's like, look, I don't want to have a debate. I just want the protein. Yeah.
Eventually, probably, here's your non-omelet.
Yeah, your non-omelet. Yeah. That, and I'll tell you what, Aykroyd was at his peak in that movie. He was so good.
Yeah, he was really good at that.
Grocer. I don't take drugs. I ingest medication. They're given to me by my doctor. Hell, soon they'll be putting it in the drinking water. I mean, okay, other than Ghostbusters. He was amazing in Ghostbusters and Blues Brothers. Never mind. Dan Aykroyd's a great actor. We'll just leave it at that. What's up, Longshot? How you doing, bro?
You should see Dan Aykroyd whenever he was promoting his vodka line.
I think I might have.
Well, it's through his skull vodka?
Yes.
Yeah. Like a crystal skull.
It was hilarious and just fun to watch.
But, yeah.
Talking about how it's like filtered through like diamonds and all this stuff.
That's and by the way, going back to something you said earlier, Bear, I mean, okay, what's his name? Ryan Reynolds might be a dick, but I like his movies. I mean, he's very charismatic on
No, listen, I separated art from artist the minute I started working in the film industry, right? Because you would meet someone and go, oh my God, I love this guy's work. And then wow, he's a cunt. You know, like just this person is a miserable cunt. But it doesn't mean they're not a good actor. It doesn't mean they're not a good musician. It doesn't mean they're not a good, power forward for whatever fucking team they play for. It just means you got to learn how to separate art from artist,
Yeah.
And that's something this generation does not know how to do. They are obsessed with the art and artist combination. And I think that's the worst thing you can do.
Well, the crazy leftoids, to them, art serves no purpose except as a vehicle for propaganda. So that's all that matters to them.
That's not crazy leftoids. That's Marxist Leninists, you fuck. That is like one of the core points of Marxist Leninism.
Well, I mean,
don't blame everybody on the left for being commies. That's my point. Not everybody on the left is a commie. Some are just soft-hearted good people.
There was a time when I was on the left.
Me too. When I was a young man, I was leftist.
And then I got ran away from, and now I'm like, okay. But
do you want to know what made me stop being leftist? Do you honestly want to know what made me stop being on the left? Private security. When I was a bouncer, still felt left. When I was a bodyguard, I still felt left. Working private security and dealing with like crackheads and hobos and people accusing you of racism for telling them you can't sit there. You know what I mean? Now you're a racist fascist because they want to sit somewhere they're not allowed to sit. That made me become less left and go, all right, fuck all these people. Just fuck everybody.
Yeah, understandable. But yeah, we got the thing going on today, and
I'll have a game tonight.
Yeah, one of my players told me yesterday, because we kind of got together a little bit to watch. A buddy of mine just recently got a place, and he had this game called Kill It With Fire, and it's one of these virtual games. And I'll be honest, I went over and watched it for about 5 minutes, and I started feeling like I was going to throw up, so I just shut my eyes.
Why
Hungar, you've not only always been based, you've just been free-based. Get it right.
What's up, Hungar? How you doing, homie? But yeah, one of the female players is like, I am so looking forward to tomorrow night's game. And I was like, well, we'll see if you feel the way after tomorrow night's game, if you feel that way. And also, I think she punched the guy who owned the house's dog on accident.
Oh.
Well, she had those things on her hands and that big thing on her head. So, that alternate, reality bullshit game they were playing.
EVR.
And she went to smash a spider and smack the shit out of his dog.
Smack the shit out of his dog?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dog was standing there. She
EVR
game the dog because she had the big VR thing.
Dog.
And so she just smacked the shit out of it. It's like, damn,
that does make me think of sort of a line meme joke that they made. It's like, remember the first time they brought VR in and they had one guy beat up another? That's why they like your motor functions.
This hurt me even more than normal Battlefield type games did. Just sitting there watching it, I was just like, I had shut my eyes because I felt like I was just going to Ralph all over the freaking, living room.
Your mic is rubbing on your fucking 70s collar. I'm going to tell you, put it here. Put it here. We can still hear you. No, up above. There we go. Just a little bit down. We can hear you talk. We don't hear you breathe, and it doesn't rub on anything. Unless you go, let me hear that. I'm teaching Doc how to be a good panelist because I bring him onto the 4-Color Cafe more often now. So I got to teach him how to be a better panelist. So that way Max Liao won't freak out next time he's on Max's show. Yeah. Also, a guy gave me shit the other day at the game for saying, if you don't stop clicking that fucking pen, I'm shoving it up your ass, Doc. I can't believe a GM is talking to his player like that. Like, go fuck yourself, you girl clutching of war.
Who is that?
Grognard TX, the guy who's been going around posting Ghost of Shauna on everybody's stuff.
Oh.
Ghost of what?
Yeah, he's got this catchphrase. He shows up and everybody stuff. He goes, the Ghost of Shauna would not approve. And he did that on my channel. We were doing the game the other night for Star Trek. After I'd given Doc shit about before I gave Doc shit about clicking, because Doc was literally doing this. And it was driving everybody insane, right? But Cody was like, yeah, well, that guy never had. Cody was like, Sean wouldn't approve. And then Cody answered, yeah, well, who gives a fuck about anything Sean ever said? It's just like, oh, fuck, you know? So, of course, somehow this is my fault, and I'm the one that's going to eat shit for it, and I'm the bad guy, you know?
I don't get it because, like, when I was talking in Legion of Myths thing about having players actually throw hands at games and shit, I was not joking. Those were not jokes. In my 40 years of gaming, yes, I've had players literally go across the table at each other.
Yeah, I had to break up a fight in a LARP more than once.
I mean, you know, especially when we were all young and full of testosterone and freaking wild hormones and pissed off all the time. It was not beyond the pale to have somebody just
never had that happen. A couple nasty arguments here and there, but no one ever got physical.
Well, your friends are obviously more civilized than mine.
I've broken up more than my fair share of fights at LARPs, and I was almost the catalyst of a fight at a LARP, werewolf LARP. And literally the only thing that saved the guy was my buddy Theo was standing in between the two of us, and my leather jacket had already hit the ground, and I was ready to fucking rumble. And Theo's like sort of stopping me from killing this guy as opposed to trying to stop both of us. He's really more like, he's like, guys, but he's like, he's got both hands on me. And I remember thinking this straight up thought in my head, I really want to fuck this guy up. But I'll have to get Theo to do it. I like Theo. I don't want to hurt Theo. Nah. And I just put my coat and walked away.
These freaking Canadian LARPers take that shit serious now.
Haas is in the private chat.
Oh, yeah, I see that. I thought
It's
he said
free
he's
base.
taking a nap.
What's up, free base?
I'm just laying around and resting, trying to nap. You know, mom and her damn 6 barking dogs.
You guys got a game tonight, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah,
I just wrapped up my face-to-face game here.
nice.
What are you running on your?
Heroic. We're playing Heroic. We're doing 2 more sessions, maybe 3 for Heroic. And then the group already agreed today we're going to switch over to play testing Valorous.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I saw on I was watching the thing the other day where you had like I guess you're only doing like a 2 or 3 part heroic game as like Adventures in Something City or something, or am I behind the thing on that, Bear?
I have 2 live heroic campaigns right now. One's Union City Blues, and the other one is the Guardians, and that's more of a globe-trotting one, though they're in Gulf City right now. Doc is in the Union City game, and Janet, for example, is in the Guardians game. Would you say, Haas? I saw you light up, but I didn't hear what you said.
Like that Valorant game looked pretty freaking cool. And to go on what you said about somebody bitching about you telling Doc you're going to shove a pin up his ass, I would hate to hear what he had to say about some of our earlier games. I will take you outside and stomp a freaking mud puddle in your stupid ass. Don't shut up.
I'm going to stomp a mud hole in you and then walk it dry, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now,
See,
what the fuck do you want? This is Waffle House. Make your order.
Right?
That was our old games. When we were younger and we played like almost every single day of the week.
Yeah, teamwork was a must because if you weren't part of the team, you're getting
You're
ate
part
by
of
it.
the problem.
But I spawned more gremlins. That's funny. Yeah, you throw water on them.
Feed us
They're
after midnight, it gets
until
even
after
worse.
midnight. So,
Don't feed us after midnight. Oh, boy.
but
That's still my favorite part of
I don't
Gremlins,
know.
too.
It's like if you told Doc something, well, you just told me what you told Doc. I have no opinion.
No, dude. It's like literally, this is the difference between Gen X and Gen X bitches, okay? Because as much as we like to sit around and sing the praises of Gen X, we must remember there were bitches in our generation, too.
A lot of them.
And they often needed to get sorted out real fucking quick sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a quick smack to the side of the head always came in handy.
And the thing is, though, is the ones who got sorted out learned to be respectful and get along, and then could learn how to jive and jab with the boys and say shit to each other. The ones who never did, they just started acting like fucking Karens all their life. You know, everything's about them. So Doc, I know Doc's been sorted at least once in his life. At least once in his life, someone said, "That's enough of this," and sorted him out real quick. So when he's sitting there going on a fucking live stream, and I say, "If you don't stop fucking clicking that pen, Doc, I'm shoving that thing straight up your ass," understanding that he's in Florida, I'm in Canada, there is no physical way for me to actually shove the pen up the man's ass with our current limits of technology, to then act all pearl clutchy about it shows me that if you are Gen X, you never got sorted properly. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Good
Sorry?
movie. I agree. Yeah, that's just the way dudes talk to each other. I mean,
Yeah.
my best friend and my brother, two different people, kind of, have let me know I was being a retard numerous times. Like, I'd say something and one of them would be like, "You're being a retard." And then you don't get mad about it. You think about it and you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have
It's
said
like,
that, you know?
Well, that's how you know somebody is an actual friend. They'll tell you you're fucked up when you're fucked up.
They
Yeah.
tell you
It's
your
like-
breath stinks. They won't do it in a mean way. They'll just be like, "Some gum?" You'd be like, "No, I'm good, guys." "No, really. Gum?"
No, it's like this thing I saw the other day. It was like the different generations where it's like millennials. Do I look fat? No, we would never body shame you. Boomers. Do I look fat? You could lose a few pounds. Gen X. Do I look fat? I know 5 fat people, and you're all of them.
Exactly. I know 5 fat people, and you're 4 of them. Exactly.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's just, yeah. We made fun of each other, but that didn't stop us from being like the closest of friends.
Oh, yeah, no, but the great one of that Gen X thing is, like Hungar said, right? It's like, do these jeans make me look fat? No, the fact that you're fat makes you look fat. The jeans have nothing to do with it. Like,
Exactly.
that is how we roll.
The best times ever is like when James did an insult to me a few months ago. I still remember it happening. I don't remember it, but it was so good that I just dropped my jaw and said, "Dude, that was awesome."
What did he say?
I don't even remember, but it was good. It was a comeback and it was a quip, and it was just like bam, right on the button. You remember it happening, right, bro?
I remember
And,
getting cooked on Twitter one time, and it was so good. I don't even know who it was that cooked me, but it was such a good comeback that all I thought was, I'm still not. You know, like he was insulting me, but I remember that one though, because I was arguing with somebody about the Second Amendment and shit, and they started saying, "You probably don't know anything about guns," and I'm like, "Actually, I know a little bit. I was in the military." And we were going on, and out of the blue, some guy who had not even posted on the thread at all says, "Look, I'm dating his wife, and believe me, he does know about guns." And I was just like, okay. I mean, I'm not even mad. I can't be okay.
I'm dating his wife.
I'm dating his wife. I'm his wife's boyfriend, and he does know a lot about guns. And I was just like unable to even be mad. I think I responded to that dude and said, "Dude, that was good."
You got to
know,
be
'cause
impressed
it's
by
like-
shit like that.
There
That's
was
what.
no comeback to that.
That's what the issue is.
It was like
What-
this argument is over officially right now.
Yeah,
Just-
That's
it
the
was like,
issue with modern people. Back in the day, we used to, we'd disagree with each other. We'd call each other some names. We might throw some hands, and then we'd end up usually becoming friends. But nowadays,
but
like
yeah,
I
to
wore one
stay
of my
on
favorite
target,
shirts.
though, Hungar, did you watch the Legion of Myth that Bear was on?
Yeah, part of it. I fell asleep.
Did you see the one dude Bacon and his beard?
Yeah, he had a decent beard, almost as nice as mine.
Yeah, it is a pretty decent beard.
But-
I'm going to go and say his is nicer than yours, Hungar, because his didn't look like squirrels lived in it.
His beard was huge.
but it was
Anyway.
really well groomed.
Yeah, and it like he looked like
He,
My
he,
beard
he looked
is
like
always-
Rasputin the fucking
My hair,
Vegas
on the
years.
other hand, looks like that. But my beard always looks nice.
Yo, bro, your beard looks like there should be birds in it, and that's your druidic thing. You know, like your ranger companion lives in your beard. That's what you look like.
hey, like
Good
the
night,
song
Coach.
from here.
You know I love you, Hungar.
I know.
Like a plague cousin. Like a
Good
plague
night,
cousin.
Satya. Sleep well.
Thanks, Satya.
Yeah,
Um,
Hungar.
Yeah, I mentioned 200
Hungar's not
euros. That's
leaving.
like 200 US
Oh.
dollars. That's a lot of money. I hope you got a bunch of good stuff.
Wait, who paid 200 euro for what?
Satya drove like an hour to his local game store and ended up dropping like 200 euros on stuff. Because he or she, I don't know, lives in Finland, and apparently the nearest game store is very far away.
Well, if I'm
Satya,
driving
if you're still here, Satya, can you settle the gender identity? Are you a he or a she or a they, please?
if I'm
It is
driving
the
over
fact
an hour to a
that,
game store,
I would never ask.
Yeah, I'm rude. What do you want?
No, I'm not saying it's rude. I just, I just don't ask because it don't matter to me.
No, but you try. No, it's not your fault. But every time you're trying to be respectful, you go, I don't know if it's a he or a she or whatever. I'm like, just fucking ask and get the answers. We can stop saying this, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's okay.
I'm pushy. I'm a pushy fuck. I don't care.
if I drive an hour to a game store, I'm spending some money.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
making that kind of a trip out of it.
Yeah,
hell
if I'm
yeah.
making that kind of a trip. Yeah.
Yeah, if I drive an hour, 2 hours, I'm definitely buying some shit. You know.
I got a new D20. I spent 3 hours on the road.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah.
like Connell when he used to run the D&D game in Peoria or whatever. He would drive like an hour and a half
Ugh.
to the game store, and it was like each way or some shit like that.
I
And
can't
then
imagine that pays enough to make that worthwhile. Like 3 hours on the road.
No.
I wouldn't think so. I know it wouldn't pay enough for me. I mean, because I hate driving. So
I like driving in spurts. Once I hit
I
an
like
hour,
driving,
I'm
and
always
it won't
done.
pay enough for me.
I used to love to drive. Like when I originally got my little Fiat 500, man, I would be buzzing up and down the turnpike all over the place in that little thing. I'd never had a car in my life as fast as that. You know what I mean? And people can say whatever, but I had a Fiat 500 Sport manual transmission here in flat ass Florida. I could burn that shit off the line in the fifth gear and be doing 120. Just boom, snap your neck back.
Fix it again, Tony.
I'm
The
thinking
only time
about
I thought that car was broke is because it sat out in my driveway for like a month and I didn't go out and start it. And the engine lost compression because Fiat engines lose compression. And we're thinking, oh shit, like the timing chains broke. We're thinking all this crazy shit that American car. No, you just got to sit in it and turn it over until the engine builds up compression and they'll start right up.
I'm actually thinking about buying one of those.
Well, when I bought mine, granted it was 13 years ago, it was brand new with under like 40 miles or whatever on it. Like it had dealership miles. And it was $12,000.
Yeah, I'll buy one used. I'm thinking about getting a little Fiat Pop.
Now,
The
if
one
I
with
were
the
living up there, I
scorpion
would
on it?
want a automatic transmission.
I'm thinking about getting one with a scorpion on it.
Oh, the Amarte.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are they're speedy. You can definitely kill yourself really easy in one of those.
No, like Mom said, with my luck, if I got into a real bad traffic accident, it would probably just paralyze me, but leave me alive.
Yeah, those are like modern day Fieros. It's like, if you want to get killed, that's definitely a car that would do it for you, because it's way too light and way too fast, especially up on those windy roads in Kentucky and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you imagine going around 27, coming up from my house to mom's, or mom's house back to my house on US 27 there.
Dude, we went down Blue John. Tracy was not comfortable with that.
And we were in a Jeep.
I don't think it would have mattered if you'd went off the edge of that road there. Jeep or no Jeep, the fact is, that's like 100 feet straight down. I mean, I don't think the Jeep's going to survive. You know, the best you can hope for is get wedged between two trees 20 feet up and
Like our uncles did.
yeah, and climb out and walk home.
And then get whippings with a switch after they already filled their pants up.
Yeah, and then get their ass whipped by her grandma. She didn't tolerate that shit.
Yeah, our uncles were driving like idiots and drove off of the side of the road and lodged the car up between two trees about 20 feet up in the air.
Two big poplar trees.
So they shimmy down and they walk home. And of course, it's brown trousers time. And when they get home and grandma finds out what they did, she beat them with switches.
And they were grown. They were in their 20s.
Dirty pants and all. And she was like 4'11".
Yeah, but everybody knew. Everybody knew the deal with our Grammy. And the deal is, you don't mess with our Grammy. You know what I mean? She just had it laid out like that. It was like, if she said something, you just said, okay, grandma.
This is the grandmas on both sides of her.
She loved me. I was like one of her favorites. So
The grandmothers ruled on both sides of our family.
they surely did. They surely did. We definitely grew up in a matriarchal system, because even though our grandfathers kind of could put their foot down and be like, hey, right? But 99% of the time, it was whatever grandma said went. You know, that's just the way it was. Just every now and then, grandpa would step in and be like, of course, you didn't want grandpa to step in if grandma caught him to tell on you what you did, because if it escalated beyond grandma to grandpa, then there was going to be ass whippings. Just count on it.
My father legitimately had a boat oar in his closet. It was the thermonuclear deterrent of our family, right? So you get the belt, you get the hand, but that was like, you fucked up. Only 1 out of 5 children managed to fuck up hard enough to get the boat oar.
Was it you?
This guy.
Yeah. Somehow I knew.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you something. For all the shit my 4 sisters put me through in my childhood, that day they were real nice to me afterwards, because they were the ones who fucked up, and I took the blame for it.
Aww.
It's like our mother, mine and Jenna's mom, was talking about one time how she thought that she could have been a better mother, which all parents do that. And I was like, Mom, you were raising us. You did the best that you could.
You were awesome in reality.
We're still alive.
Which is an accomplishment based on the stories you two tell.
Yeah.
For the children you had, you were the best mother you could be.
Yeah. Too many people, I think, don't appreciate. Well, I don't know. Maybe other people were good kids, but what my mom had to deal with is like, and she had 3 kids by the first husband, and they were each progressively worse than the one before. You know, it was like the first one she had was kind of quiet, didn't do much bad. The second one was the middle child, screaming, carrying on, running around like a maniac. And then the third one, mean as a snake, just mean.
I loved being the middle child because you got the responsibility. Our sister was the baby, and I was like the forgotten child. So I was like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. You know, I do what I want.
Leth agrees with that, huh? I do remember one time Hungar said something to mom in the middle of like a TGY or some shit, and she whipped his ass right in the middle of that thing. That was back when I was like 7 or 8, but I remember he got an ass whipping, man.
Like I said, mom was a great mother for the children that she had.
Because he was just a maniac.
My mother was an insane asylum on legs. She was an alcoholic, sadly, and she had issues. But she kept us alive. She kept us fed, and she had studied as a nurse. Once she had kids, because the closest hospital at the time my eldest sister was born was 2.5 hours drive away. She did her St. John ambulance nurse training, and then when she graduated, they're like, "Well, you can go become a nurse." She's like, "No, I'm good." She just learned how to be a nurse to take care of the kids, right? Make sure the family was alive. And it helped. A lot of times it helped. Like when my sister cut off the tips of her fingers on the fucking exercise bike by sticking her fingers in the spokes, my mother was able to keep them on that. They got her to the hospital and they reattached them and all that shit, right? But my mother did not fucking play. My intolerance for bullshit, I fully inherited from her as well as my smart mouth. I remember driving in the car one time. This was about 78, 79, so I was just a kid. Me and my sister Madeline are in the back seat, and we're fucking with each other. We're just like fucking because we're within a year of each other. So, and my mother lets go of the fucking wheel, turns full around in the front seat to the back seat, and goes, "Do you two want me to fucking come back there and sort this out?" And we were like the Red Sea, man. We were like, the side of this. We're just like, "Mom, drive, mom, drive, mom, drive," because the car was still moving. She just completely committed to turning to us. You know what I mean? The other thing she did that freaked me out, I was about 12 years old. We were going to the store to do a grocery run, and this guy was tailgating my mother, like right on her ass. So she stopped the car in the middle of traffic, got out, walked around, opened the trunk, looked at the guy, and started going, "You want to get in? Would you like to get in?" But the guys in the car freaked out, like, "No, no, no." I'm in the car going, "This woman's insane. This woman is completely fucking insane," but that's how she rolled. Kept us all alive, that's for sure. And we tried to self-exit ourselves by accident many fucking times.
Well, as a kid, you do, you do,
As
you do. I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and probably the one that holds the. Hungar is 100% right. Not only was I my mother's first child, I was also the first grandchild.
Well, you were just a little pet, weren't you?
There were high expectations for me.
Yeah, but there was also probably a shit ton of can't do any wrong as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hungar. Thank you. My nephew Kyle. When I get my nieces and nephews together, Kyle was the first nephew, first kid of my sister Kim, and the first grandchild of all the fucking of my family, right?
Right.
And until my mother's last day alive on this planet, Kyle could do no fucking wrong. Like, the sun rose and set with Kyle. You know what I mean? It was just the way it was. And I was one day in like 93, 94, I was hanging out at home and watching her deal with Kyle. He was maybe like 10 or 12 at the time. I just looked at him like, where was this woman when I was a child?
I was the second child born.
Oh,
my mother, and the second child of the grandkids. And I was like,
God.
Oh, another one?
Marsha.
My grandfather would just come over and just like, I'm taking Hoss for a while, and just like, Mom would be like, "Can I have my baby back?" "No, come back later." He's staying with me. Yeah. But it's like, then my sister was born 11 months later, and she was the first girl.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can do what I want, and nobody will notice.
or stop her, more like. But that's the one I said was mean as a snake.
Oh, shit. She got in a bar fight once and beat up a bunch of dudes for picking on her boyfriend, and she was tiny.
She got in a bar fight at a British pub, and when the cops showed up, they asked our friend Ishmael if he saw anything, and he could legally say he didn't see anything because he was blind. But they still interviewed him, and they're like, "Did you see anything?" And he's like, "Officer, I didn't see anything." And they look at his ID, and it was like legally blind. Oh man, good times. But my wife is making pulled pork tonight. So she
Nice.
got up at like 7 this morning
I'm gonna have meatloaf sandwich.
to put the pork in.
We're having steak.
Yeah, but there's a song out there that I listen to sometimes just to be annoying. And the verse is real Slav, every day, pork in the kitchen. And if you want to be my wife, go to the kitchen.
Yep.
Because, and the name of the song is Slav Life.
We played that for Wolfie when we were playing Cody's game.
Yeah, Slav Life.
Because he's like hardcore.
The knife.
He lives over there in one of those Slav countries. Where does Wolfie live?
Albania.
Oh, that's not Slav country. He's a Turk.
No, he's Slav.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's it was Albania, yeah? Or is it Slovenia?
Oh,
Slovenia.
Slovenia. That's
Which fucking he's in the small one that has no water.
That's where Mrs. Trump comes from.
Yeah, he's not from Albania because Albania is over there by Greece and they're always fine.
Yeah, no. He's in that little tiny one that has no water access. Slovenia? I think it's Slovenia.
Yeah, when I showed him that video, he's like, "Yeah, that's what it is."
Yeah, filthy bunch of hillbillies talking about going to church and drinking vodka all day.
Wearing Adidas.
He's from the one that all the other former Yugoslavians portray as women all the time. Anyway, Slovenia.
Yeah, it's Slovenians. They always portray. It's like they portray Macedonians as monkeys, and
Slovenians are
like
always Slovenians are always ladyboys. Yeah.
It's like the Balkans are crazy, man.
2 world wars, baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Tito died, they just decided they were going to go nuts.
By the way,
they're like, well, Tito's not around anymore. Let's just go buck wild.
I don't know how I missed this when it happened, but when the fuck did Czechoslovakia become Czechia and Slovakia? What year was that?
It was right after the Soviet Union broke up. It was like within a year.
Yeah, at least.
I do not remember that happening, which is really weird.
Because it wasn't a revolution. It was more like each side of the country picked like people to represent them, and then they met and they like drew a line on the map and signed some bullshit, and it was done.
Yeah,
they're like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah, there was no war at all. It was just like we're Czechs.
There was no war yet.
Czechs, and Czechs are, I guess, more Germanic.
Okay.
And you're Slovaks, which are
you're more Hungarian.
Slav.
Yeah, you're more Hungarian. Yeah.
And so we'll just draw this line here, and you can have Prague, and we'll keep whatever. And yeah.
My first wife was from Slovakia.
Was she from Slovakia or was she from the Czech part?
She was from Slovakia. The ballerina.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I remember her.
I used to work at a bar that was right next door to the Czechoslovakian in the 80s, the Czech consulate in Montreal. So whenever people from the Czechs, which was what we called them, they were both Czech and Slovakian, would show up here and be relocating for amnesty or refugee status, whatever, they'd always give them a fucking welcome kit, and one of them was a free pitcher of beer at our bar. So twice a week there'd be a night where you just have 10, 15 Czechs would show up with a free fucking pitcher of beer, and they'd all sit together and they'd drink, and they'd all have a free pitcher of beers. You'd have 10 free pitchers flying around. So you're gonna have a good time. And the one thing that was always really fascinating was how fucking hot the women were, but how much they smelled, because there was no deodorant and no fucking mouthwash. You know what I mean? Like, just none of that shit was happening because there was none of that shit in Czechoslovakia at the time. It was pretty much it was like all the shit shows of the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
But fuck, they were hot. Oh.
I always said
number one
so good. Why didn't anybody run over to East Germany when they took the wall down?
You know what's really funny? My buddy was a dissident of the next level, lefty hippie dissident guy. He went to lots of protests, and he was telling me about going to protests in Western Germany. You know, our Germany,
All right.
and what the riot cops were like. He was describing the riot cops. He goes, so there's three types of riot cop. There's the rank and file, and they're just the guys that hold the line. Then he goes, then there's the guys like you. They're the tanks. They have heavy body armor on, big shields and big sticks. And he said, then there's the little guys. And the little guys wear Nikes and little, those satin bomber jackets and track pants. And their entire job is when you break from the fucking crowd, they run you down until you can't run any further, and then bad shit happens. I'm like, oh, yeah? He goes, yeah. And he goes, I remember this one protest we were at, this one German girl broke from the thing, West German, and she saw the guy coming, and she went up a fucking fire escape, and you know how close the buildings are in Europe, right? She was running rooftop to rooftop to rooftop, and then she got to the final rooftop, and it was just a big, broad boulevard in front of her where the main protest was happening. Apparently, she looked back, saw the guy coming, and said, fuck it, and jumped 2 stories down to the street, broke both her legs.
Ooh.
She went to the hospital later. She's like, why the fuck did you jump? She goes, I knew the paramedics would get to me before those guys would. Right? So when the wall comes down and they reunite the two Germanys, all the Eastern Europeans were all like, oh, the Stasi were the worst thing ever. Then they suddenly are dealing with fucking West German police, and they're like, holy fuck, what is wrong with these assholes? Yeah.
They're no joke. I know
Walk around in Germany.
They don't need your permission to take blood to do an alcohol test on
Nope.
you, a DUI.
Or
If
to
you
take blood
refuse-
recreationally.
Yeah, it's like you can't just refuse. They'll get it, And they carry those damn batons, those big rubber coil steel batons. And when I went over there in Frankfurt, there was like a cop on every corner with an MP5 just standing there. And it was like, I'm an American and I believe in concealed carry and shit, but something about these dudes in these big black uniforms and freaking standing there just, I effing you, like, and they got full automatic submachine guns. Is like, but that was also back when the Red Brigade was blowing discotheques up and shit like that too. So
Our buddy Timmy
Frankfurt was
was
a wild place back then.
Our buddy Timmy was telling us about when he was in Germany, and he actually got to experience the joys of those big rubber spring batons.
Yeah.
When he was smarting off and he took off running, and the cop whacked him right upside the back with that thing. He said, I got hit by a car once, and it felt almost as bad as that.
Here, we need blood sample. Hold cup under nose. Whack!
Why you run?
They're
You're
going. I
running.
mean,
If you're innocent, why would you run? There's no reason to run. Perhaps we should make you not able to run any longer.
and
Now
one
that you're
of the most-
crying.
one of the most difficult things to do in Germany is get a driver's license. It is a straight up pain in the ass.
Yeah, I heard that from guys over. Korea was nothing. There's like, don't kill nobody.
Yeah, right.
That's
And
most
that was-
Asian nations.
You hear all these stories about Asian drivers, they don't even scratch the surface.
I lived in
they're
Vancouver,
awful.
sir.
They're
I lived
awful.
in Vancouver. When I was in Montreal, my father made this proclaimed statement in the late 80s or 90s. He goes, Chinese are genetically bad drivers. I'm like, you're a fucking racist, old man. You're a fucking racist. I moved to Vancouver, a city that is 75% Chinese, okay? After a month, I called my dad and went, hey, remember that thing you said about the Chinese and driving? Yeah, I was wrong. You're not a racist. You were just a keen observer of details.
Keen observer of detail.
I
I don't know
legit
what it was.
saw
and-
a Chinese driver, three lane, at a red light. He's in the right-hand lane. Light turns green, and he cuts across all 3 fucking lanes. No turn signal.
My dear Annie's departed friend Skid, who lived in Calgary, absolutely hated Asians. And I never understood that. And I was always like, you're Canadian. You hate people? Oh man. I don't know what, but he was old school Canadian. Like Skid would be like 70 years old now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he just, I don't know what it was, but he lived in Calgary. He worked in the oil fields. Until he got a job as a jingle writer, and he just hated
It's like New Zealand. People from New Zealand really do not like Australians.
yeah, that's true. Like my cousin moved to New Zealand and he married an Australian girl. They got divorced and now he married a Filipino woman and they got kids and he's doing great. And he's been in New Zealand so long that he's officially a citizen now.
Nice, good for him.
He's been there like 20 years.
Yeah, he loves it.
And it is good for him because he was only going to end up going to prison if he'd stayed here. He was on a bad track. But apparently 20 years ago, at least, I don't know about now. If anybody knows, they can tell me. But it was like New Zealand was actively recruiting young American men to move to New Zealand.
Yeah, Australia did that too for a while. They were desperate for people in the industry there.
Now Japan's thinking about doing that.
Yeah, I know two guys.
That's not going to go over well.
No.
Well, they need
two guys that did that. They like went to the New Zealand embassy or however you do it, and they got a background check, and then New Zealand paid for their plane ticket, set them up with a job, a place to live, and the only thing they have to do is work. That's it. You have to keep your job. So
Japan's talking about giving up.
My cousin worked on a sheep farm. It still does, I think.
No, he's a drug counselor.
Oh, nice. But when he got there, yeah, he was on a sheep farm, like doing all the, shearing and moving them about and, manual labor. And he loved it. Not a fan of Australians, though. Even though he was born in Orlando. Now he's in New Zealand being like, Australians suck.
Well, I'm going to go get dinner and get ready for game.
Yeah.
For me to go eat.
Well, take a nap because it'll be about an hour or whenever people start showing up.
All right, everybody. Peace, love, and chicken.
Dad never got a divorce. RPG Dad, I've got you beat because I've had two, but I'll not have another one because, or I won't have a fourth. Let's say because if I ever get divorced again, I'm never getting married again. I'm going to be like, nah, I'm done. I'll move to a hill and just freaking stay there. Oh, Left just said, F this, I'm out. But
no, he was trying to say he would be back. He was leaving, but you guys were talking.
Oh, poor lad.
Like you do.
Yeah, like we do. You're not wrong. But
people don't understand that. People think like I've been accused of talking too much. I know you've been accused. I know Hungar's been accused of it, and a lot of my friends from where I grew up get accused of it. But it's like where I grew up. Again, I'm extended Appalachian. I'm just the Canadian version of it.
Right.
What we do. We're not closed-mouthed city folk who are always worried about what we say and offending people and saying, we just talk. We're here to have a conversation. Fuck, we're going to talk. That's what the point of a conversation is,
It took my wife a very long time, being her culture and everything like that, to get used to dealing with hillbillies, basically, because, like interrupting people is just not done. But when me and my family get together, you can have 5 conversations going on at the same time. Just everybody's just nonstop. It's, I guess, disconcerting for people who aren't used to it.
Fair.
But, yep, gonna play some OSE Advanced tonight. All the players are looking forward to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got a shit ton of work done on Valorous last night.
Nice. I was bragging on Valorous the other day when I was talking to Ultra American and the rest of those guys. I was like, you need to. I was like, this Valorous thing, it's just beautiful looking, So,
well, so far I've got the basic core mechanics sorted out. Arms and armor, the attributes, boons and banes, the 3 classes, and then the 3 subclasses for each class. That's all sorted. Oh, and spells. Sorted all the spells out. It's looking good.
Awesome. that is very exciting. I mean, I love it.
Oh, and I also got the Valor and Burden system sorted out. I think it needs to be play tested, obviously, but on paper, it's as complete as I'm going to get it for now. And then hopefully with play testing, we'll see whether it works or what tweaks need to be done.
Well, that was one of when you were explaining the game. That was really the part where I was like, that is good.
So, well, one of the things I decided, talking to everybody else, and because I wasn't sure, but they were like, no, it's a good idea, is everyone has to start with one flaw and one virtue. So that way they have something they can tag for advantage, and there's something that the GM can tag to make them have to make force of metal tests and basically possibly, Bruce is in the chat, the waiting room, and basically force them to have to engage with the mechanic, because otherwise, you get that one player who will just run the system as best they can so they never have to engage with the flaw and virtue system. So they'll be like, so you got to force them to do it. Hey, what's up, Brucey?
You know what? That is a good idea. Because it allows a character to, well, a player to decide how they're going to role play their character based on
their virtue choice and their flaw
and
choice.
Exactly. Like your character might be a little greedy, but at the same time, he might be really brave.
Or he could be greedy but has a heart of gold. So he's always trying to get money, but he's always giving it away. That type of thing. Exactly. It'll help focus role play choices. Hi, Bruce. What's up, Bruce?
I just had an interesting stream.
Is your mic on?
Can you hear me?
Sounds like you're talking through the webcam.
No, nope. Through the webcam. Bad internet.
Hey, Doc, I know how to do this shit after 3 years of doing these fucking things.
Let's try that again. Come on.
It just sounds like you're across the room from your mic.
Yeah.
There we go. That should be better.
Yeah, that's better.
That's good.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I just had a stream. I did the commentary for the unsubscribe. They had more information 1 week after Rich's unveiling of the failures of the Boston public school system. So I had about 40 people in chat between Rumble and YouTube and X. So looked like it turned out to be a pretty good stream. I was pretty happy with my commentary and paused it about every 30, 40 seconds trying to give information as to what was going on for people that hadn't been following on yet. I think it was pretty good.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
That's probably twice as many people as I've ever had watch any of my streams.
I get about three typically on my streams to watch, and it was nice. Had active chat. I liked it.
Nice. Good for you, man.
Prost to everybody.
Now that bullshit aside, let's go back to talking about my stuff. No.
Okay. What system are you playing there, Bear? Is that your OSE? Is that your OSE stuff?
Sorry, what? Say again, please.
Is that OSE?
Valorous?
Oh, Valorous. Okay.
Valorous, the heroic fantasy role-playing game, is actually more 5e than it is OSE.
Wow.
But with some really, really specific reasons for that choice and also specific ways that it plays out. But ultimately, the whole goal of it is that as I've said many times now, I'm sick the fuck of BX clones. I am sick the fuck of Grimdark, Shadow Dark, Skull Fucker, Dragon Sex. I'm sick of them. I'm fucking here.
You want a fucking heroic game. I get it.
Heroic fantasy fucking game where the players play heroes. You want to be a scoundrel? Be a scoundrel with a heart of gold. Be Han Solo. You know what I mean? Like, that's the idea. And to do that, I threw out the alignment system completely. Fuck alignments. And you have two things you have to track while you're a player. Your valor and your burden. And for every 2 points of either one you get, if you get 2 points of valor, you get a virtue that you can pick or is related to the moment that you got that valor, and you can tag that for advantage in particular situations. Your burden, your flaws that come with being a burden for every 2 points, the GM can tag those to give you disadvantage on systems. And sometimes if you're tempted or put into a place of, okay, the villain that you have been hunting the entire time in this campaign is getting away, but he lit the farmhouse on fire and the farmer's daughter is inside. You can catch him if you run right now. What do? Give me a test of mettle, METTLE, to figure out what your character's going to do. To figure out if they're going to be virtuous and run valorous and run into the house to save the girl, or say, fuck that bitch, I need to get my revenge on this asshole. Okay, you've got the villain. He's on his knees. He's disarmed. You could stab him right in the throat right now and kill him, and you have vengeance as a flaw. Give me a test of mettle to see if you're going to cut his throat or be merciful now. Well, I want to make those decisions for my character. This is not the game for you. Go play something else.
Okay, that sounds like a fun game.
That's my statement, and there's an entire mission statement that opens the book. An entire fucking statement as to what I'm sick of, why I'm doing this, and what is expected of this. And it talks about stuff like, you're not here to fucking sympathize with the vampire queen. Vampires are evil. They feed on other people to sustain their life. Evil. Orcs and goblins are not misunderstood. They are created evil that have been sent here to do evil, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure all the people are going to hate this game, and I hope they all find out about it and scream its doom from the rafters, and then it'll sell more. Fuck them.
Very careful there, man. You're going to be getting a red ball cap before too long.
No, because it won't succeed, because all the OSE guys will be like, fuck, it's fucking 5e, fucking. I role play OSE because I'm a real man with a big dick. Okay, whatever. Fuck. Role playing does not determine your quality as a human being, sir.
Yeah. I like the virtue and burden thing because it's similar to the Pendragon thing, but it's not quite so domineering.
Oh my God, the Pendragon one. I looked at it years ago when I was thinking about when I was working on my BRP clone, and I got into the Pendragon thing, and I was like, this is too much. This is too involved. I need something simple. So yeah, burden and virtue. There you go. Burden and valor. And
I like that.
So I got a lot of it written last night.
One thing that you said, Bear.
What's that?
It is true that OSC people, especially the ones who run OSC, do typically tend to be well endowed.
That's good, brother. That was good.
But I like the whole everything you've said about the game so far. I'm a huge fan.
Bruce, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to share the image, James. Hopefully you can punch it up if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You tell me. So basically, one of those things you got to worry about art, right? Art. Oh, you can't use AI. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, you know what? Fuck them all. The book will have no art. It'll just have lots of descriptive text, and even the cover won't have art. This is a mock-up Thruxus did. My fucking layout guy, my art guy has already said, yeah, I can make all of that as SVGs for you without issue. How much do you want that book on your shelf, brother?
Bravo. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. You want that
it
on
looks
your
really
shelf.
good. I like it.
Hell yeah, you want that on your fucking shelf. You know what I'm saying? I want it on my shelf right there. And I put it right so it's always above my head, the word valorous, you know? Gregor side eventually heroic. And you know, so I'm leaning into, I've been told if you got to lean into your thing, lean into it. My thing has always been about heroic role playing. It's always about playing good guys. It's always about playing noble characters, about playing scoundrels with hearts of gold and all that kind of stuff. So I'm leaning the fuck into it. And since I might as well shill, and I never shill, you guys know that. If you want to see this fucking thing developed, join my Patreon at the $10 tier. I'll be doing the playtesting documents releases there first. So patrons will get the first shot at it.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to shill the thing. I want to see it.
I never shill, though. Ask Bruce. Every time I'm on Bruce's show, he goes, oh, we got Bear's game, heroic. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Stop talking. You know?
Dude,
I
want
to see it happen. So
anytime I got somebody that has an interesting product, or anytime I have anybody on there that has something to offer, I want them to succeed with it. So I always try to prop them up and be like, hey, look at this guy.
I
try to
appreciate it.
Boost them up by their feet and get them a higher signal. That's what you do. A rising tide raises all boats.
My bro Ducato. What's up, Ducato? How you doing? Usually me and Ducato cross paths either when I'm streaming or in J. Scott Garaby's comment section.
Okay.
Because we're both just in there like, what? What are you even saying? You know, it's like, But he did a good, Scott Garrity did a good short the other day, which was about, I guess, Hankerin or whatever, the guy that does
Hankerin for an ale
is doing a sci-fi version of it. And Garrity did a like a scenario where you have to get on this ship or something and do things and then get off the ship before it randomly jumps to somewhere. I mean, it was, I listened to the whole thing and I was like, who did that? And I was like, Garrity? No way.
Broken
like,
clocks right twice a day, brother.
I was like, okay, that was actually some great content from Garrity because I was like super interested.
We're gonna be here for a bit. You're not planning to wrap up anytime soon, James?
Probably an hour or so.
Cool. I'm just gonna grab a cup of coffee and be right back, guys.
Okay.
And thanks for letting me ramble about Valorous, because I'm actually really fucking pumped about this.
So am I. So anyway, Bruce, I did the thing you told me not to do.
Yeah, you glued it all together.
I had to. I'm a model builder at heart, man.
I know, but when I painted mine, there were some spots by the body that when I had glued it all together, trying to paint them up right and get the shading right, I was having a real issue getting in the cracks and crevasses and keeping things consistent. And then doing the blending after that was kind of a challenge. So that's why I was trying to tell you, don't glue it all together at once. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, well, that's not going to be a problem for me because I'm just going to paint the whole thing with contrast paints and call it done. So it'll get primered white, and then most of it will be Blood Angels red, and then the parts that need to be other chromatic colors will be other chromatic colors.
Wow.
Yeah, like that center head's going to be red, but then we're going to have black, white, blue, and green. Something.
So you're doing it kind of like what I did.
Yeah, I'll have to. I was watching a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while. That's true. But I just wanted to give the guy credit where credit was due. He actually did a video that I was like, damn, that's a good video. That is an actual useful video. You know, he was describing, it didn't show his nostrils. You couldn't see up his nasal cavities. It was a map of the starship. It was kind of really an abstract map, but he was describing how, you know, you guys escape from it and like all this stuff. I mean, I liked it, but I like that kind of shit. I'm a sci-fi guy at heart, even though I always end up running fantasy. But I prefer sci-fi. Like, you know, it's just no one at my table does. For some reason, everyone wants to play an elf. They don't give a shit about going on a long journey to, you know, the Serpentis cluster or some shit like that.
You know, I have Starship Warden on the shelf to my left back there, and I want to play through that one of these days.
Yeah, I just rescued all my classic Traveler stuff from my brothers, and I've been eyeing it quite a bit lately.
Well, Classic Traveler, the game that is actually 50 games. And the reason people say that is because every skill works slightly different than every other skill in Classic Traveler. So every skill is like a mini game. And then if you play a merchant, that's like a mini game. Because every time you go to a world, you got to roll a bunch of things to see what cargo is available and at what price. And it's like the original but the thing is, I would say the warts on the Classic Traveler game are kind of what makes it adorable, you know?
Yeah, I've looked at the Mongoose one, and I'm interested in that. But it's like I with the books I would need to start. It's like probably like $150, and I'm not ready to spend that in a new game right now. There's like 5 books I want.
Okay, there's books you want versus books you need. If you get the 2023 or 2022, whichever one it was, core book, you're done. Everything you need to play anything in Travelers in that book. Now, if you want to, you know, focus more on starships and things like that, then you might want to get High Guard or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, you don't need it. Now, you want to talk about a game that was expensive when I got when 2300 came out. I bought that box set.
That was the one that had all the Earth nations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the early one. Yeah.
Mongoose Traveler decided to put out a box set and then charged $99 for it. But I had to have it. So, you know.
I've told myself that before.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Traveler, I can say, hey, some game news. Mark Miller, the creator of Traveler, has sold the intellectual property that is Traveler to Mongoose Publishing.
Yeah, but he's able to put out his own version.
He can put out his own stupid versions.
It's a fucking mess. Have you ever looked at it?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
convinced he had a head full of
Traveler
mess
5,
when
it's
he
like
wrote that.
Yeah. Me and Shauner talked about that a bit because he had it and it's like, it's this big. If you get printed, it's bigger than an old phone book. You know, it's like, no.
And it makes the editing in first edition D&D look genius.
But
It's
as a
all
result,
over the place.
As a result, though, the other part of this news is that it's not just Traveler. They gave them the rights for all the Game Designer Workshop games. But then Mongoose Traveler, Monahan, or whatever his name is, he said that he has no plans of taking Twilight 2000 from Free League because he loves what they're doing with it and they're supporting it really well. So that's just going to be with them. But now Mongoose
the role-playing
owns the IP of it, though. Because I guess Mark Miller decided, yeah, enough leasing IPs out. I'm just selling it to Mongoose. Because
he probably paid a pretty penny for it.
Well, apparently Mark Miller, who is very old now, was very happy with what Mongoose has been doing with Traveler. So now so Mongoose announced that they will be releasing the Mongoose version of Dark Conspiracy. Either they're going to release it or they're going to let it out to Free League, however they do. But that would be cool because Dark Conspiracy was a pretty neat, you know, it's basically X-Files meets Call of Cthulhu meets SCP. You know, you and the other players are basically like guys who you're the guys that know what's actually happening. And like all of the crazy shit in the Inquirer that you ever read about is real. Like there is a Bat Boy. Bat Boy exists, you know, and Men in Black and all the weird shit and vampires, all of it. Is Traveler a good game to make a hack from? Yes,
very
there is
solid
an
for that.
OGL of Mongoose. What's it called?
Cepheus, there's the Cepheus system.
Yeah, the Cepheus system or something like that, which is just a generic Traveler. If you know,
I am stupid.
and you could also play like.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And then you could. I know that there were people who played fantasy settings using Traveler, which. I mean, if you look in the book, it's got like Tech 0 and Tech 1, and the armor is like chainmail, and the weapons are all like, you know, iron or steel swords, whatever.
Growers.
Yeah. The character design system in my game is basically it was based on Traveler.
Yeah, I mean,
I really like
Traveler is the only game my wife likes making characters for. Because if you follow the life path system, it tells a story. about
Yeah,
a
it was
character.
always one of my favorite games to make characters in, and I am definitely old school there. I think characters should be able to die during character creation.
In the
There's
new
just something
version, your
about that.
character can die if you want him to die,
Yeah,
or
they have like outs where you could just like.
or there's outs where instead of dying, you just get permanently crippled, or
You can
your
go to
character's
jail
okay,
or forced
but
or dishonorably discharged or something.
right.
During the character creation of the game I have, after you choose your race, you have to do your priors and particulars. Then you choose your class. And during the priors and particulars, you could roll up that you're a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. And there's a lot of build points that you get if you actually want to continue creating your character, or you can burn a build point if you have one in reserve, and you can re-roll that result because you might not want to be a paraplegic fighter. And even though you a lot of people are like, oh my god, Bruce, that opens up your game to having wheelchair heroes. It quote unquote it does, but at the same time I make sure to notate in the character creation and the side text, I'm like, if you are going to push through with this, the party is under no coercion to endeavor to try to keep you along, and you might be the first thing sacrificed. Should the party find something bigger and nastier than they are, you'll be the thing left behind as bait so they can get away from a rampaging owlbear or a dragon that.
Yeah, also,
So-
in a high tech game, it's less of an issue because
In Traveler, having a character in a wheelchair because he's 90 and he's got like a freaking endurance of 2, okay, but he's probably got like 50 skills all at like level 3. He's like a genius. He's been in college or whatever he's been doing his whole life, but if you shoot him, he's going to die because he's old. I mean, so the wheelchair thing, and no one ever had an issue with people in wheelchairs in modern or sci-fi games. It's just they have no place in fantasy. Unless, I'll tell you, here's where a wheelchair has a place. A veteran of a war that got like his legs cut off by an orc, and he sits out on his little cart thingy in front of the saloon begging for money so that he can get drunk all the time. There you go.
Like
that
a
makes
standard
sense.
veteran, oddly enough.
Well, I was basing that kind of on Outlaw Josie Wells.
True.
When the guy, Angel Eyes, was buying the info from the Confederate soldier that had no legs, and he throws him the silver dollar, and he's like, there you go, half soldier, go get a drink. See, something like that makes sense, but an adventurer actually going into a dungeon, no. And I've argued with people about this, and I tell them, look, if your character could not pass firefighter physical academy stuff, you couldn't be an adventurer. You would die.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how to tie a clove hitch as an adventurer, right? You don't know how to tie a knot. You can't run. You can't climb anything. You can't throw a ladder. But you're going to be an adventurer? Get the F out of here.
Now, what I offer is that you can create that character, but put them in your stable or put them in your folder. And whenever the party gets to be of a certain wealth capacity, if you've created another character, what you could do is you could buy clerical services and get him healed up through magic, which that's the equalizer. And now he's a viable character. He's no longer lame. He's got legs that function. But
You ever watch the movie Stranger Things?
All the time.
One of the most powerful moments in that entire fucking film for me is when he shows up to his specialty guy that's the DJ or the sound engineer at the club, and he gives him his recording that he gave him. The guy's in a wheelchair with no legs. And then later the guy puts it on to watch it, and it's basically just a recording of a guy running on a beach and passing a woman and looking down at his legs and running. And the guy is so fucking happy to be experiencing this in his head. That, to me, is exactly what would happen in my mind if someone with no fucking legs or who couldn't walk came to my D&D table. I'm pretty sure 99.99 repeating percent of the time he's going to say, I'd like to play a guy who can walk, because I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't
you
disagree.
have a combat wheelchair in this game. You know what I mean? Like, fuck these people.
When Hungar was wheelchair bound, at no point did he want to play a wheelchair bound. You know, he wanted to play a dwarf that could get along and do things. But yeah, Thieves World, I regret not buying that box set when I had a chance, like 30 years ago.
Wait, hold on.
Space Dwarf Miners, I've seen that. Deep Rock Galactic, yeah, Space Dwarf Miners.
I'm gonna go make a coffee. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, this is something I've had in my stable for a while.
That's the one I'm talking about.
I'll have to read through
Oh my
it.
god. It's such a good system, a good book. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, James was saying that the characters in there had traveler stats as well as other stats, which
He's
is
not wrong.
pretty awesome. I know in Classic Traveler, at the back of one of the books, it's got stats for Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Han Solo, like, you know, all of their stats, because that was before the Third Imperium become like a default setting, when it was just kind of a thing. And Mark Miller figured that people would play whatever setting they wanted to play, you know? So, good times. Good times. I still have the Traveler book, which I love, you know? The one that came with the slip cover that had like the dude and the chick with the feathered hair and the Varg running off of like the Empress Merkava's ship.
Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I got a hold of that book. A friend of mine was getting out of the hobby, and so he gave me that and a whole bunch of stuff, including the 4 Encyclopedia Magicas.
Oh, really?
I offered him some money, and he's like, "No, man, I'm good. I'm a DoD guy. I have a $34 an hour job. I'm good with things." Okay, cool. Thanks.
Well, that's
and now he's homeless on the streets of San Francisco. A Quinn Martin production.
Right. Now he's behind a 7-Eleven giving blowjobs so that he can get enough money to buy cheeseburgers.
He wants a sandwich.
Suck your dick for a cheeseburger.
Right. You're like, I think that was wasn't that in Clerks or something, when they're talking about giving hand jobs for crack or some shit.
No, it's the thing with suck your dick for a cheeseburgers from Boys in the Hood, I think.
Yeah.
And it's fucking, what's his name? Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
No, it's Chris Rock. It's one of those guys.
Don't be a menace to South Central
while you're drinking your juice in the hood.
Yeah, that was the one where the one guy's like doing all that.
I'll be back in a bit if you're still on.
Okay. And he's offering to do whatever, and then like finally the one dude that had like all the weird braids with weird shit on the braids was next thing you know, you see him walking out zipping his pants up, and he's like, "What you want to do is go right down here and hang a left about 2." Her name is Dashiki, and that's like Swahili for doggy style. She had like a kid of every single race.
Yeah.
When he saw her kids, there's like an Asian kid sitting there. It's like, what? And the one guy got out of prison. You know, you ever been in the shower and you see the way, you know, like the bubbles kind of slip down the crack of another man's ass? And they're like, what? And he's like, oh, I was just kidding. Those was jokes. Yeah, the weigh-ins. Those guys are pretty hilarious back in the day.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, man. I'm gonna get you, Sucker, and Hollywood Shuffle are two of my favorite fucking movies.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get you, Sucker. Yeah, when the two guys are talking about their Purple Hearts,
and they fucking around in the thing, took a paperclip in the eye. Oh, I got that one. That's for typing. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, the one guy got hit in the eye with a paperclip.
We're fucking around.
The one guy had bunions and shit. He's always like, that was like, what's his name? The football player.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
It's got that great scene with Chris Rock when he shows up at their fucking rib place. How much a rib? $7. One order ribs. No, fuck that. One rib.
You're like,
fuck the cup. Support my hand.
Just pour it in my hands. I show
Can,
him.
can you break 100?
Break 100? Yeah, and the guy's like,
Come on, help a
unopened.
brother.
Daryl says, man. Yeah, Thieves World was actually a good book too, though.
Great book.
Yeah, you had like the Empire and all this stuff going on. The one girl that some people thought was a guy or
Like
however
that.
it was. Yeah.
Like then was pretending to be a man.
You
And
know
had
what I
the-
realized the other day?
What?
We were way more like
Progressive?
20 years ago because I watched Cast a Deadly Spell.
Yep.
And I remember watching that when it very first came out because I love Lovecraft stuff, even though
Such a
it's
good
kind of
movie.
no one gave a shit that the one dude was also Lily.
No
That
one
was kind of a
cared.
twist.
No one gave a shit. That's the point. We didn't give a shit. We were worried about dying from
fist through him though. Blah.
Oh yeah. I still think my favorite fucking line, and there's so many good lines in that movie. Like I can quote that movie till the cows come home. My favorite line ever is, "That's quite a tie. Thank you. Put up much of a fight? No, I snuck up on it."
Yeah. Everybody was always messing with him over his tie.
Same schlubcraft, same dog shit attitude, same dog puke tie.
Yeah. Yep. That is like, but that was a horrible tie.
Oh, yeah.
And Miss what was it was like Miss Kaczynski or something.
Oh yeah, Kaczynski. Yeah.
With
It's
the
like when my
Russian
brother,
name.
when my dear husband, blah blah blah, died. Crows fall down dead from the wire 6 miles around the house.
She's like, you be careful. As for me,
That's the one we watched, right? On movie night a while back.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to Miami.
yeah. And her brother was an attorney, so when they had Lovecraft in jail, the brother shows up and just starts giving them like, we know that the police mean the best, but sometimes become just a little overzealous and all this shit.
Yeah.
and the guy, the chief is just like, this guy is making my head hurt just listening to him.
Let him go. A lesser woman would have called her older, much larger brothers who very much enjoyed the practice of throwing other people's furniture out of windows by now.
When she wants him to give out the cards.
Where's my rent? And I love that recurring gag with who are you? Who's asking? He gives the card. They go, I'm not much for dancing.
He does that like twice too, because when he goes to the rich guys, who may have said
the rich guy's house, he does it at the boarding house with the guy fighting the gremlins. Yeah.
Oh, the guy that's at war with the gremlins. What a good movie that was, and full of great actors, really.
Seriously.
I love the ending of that, where the his cop friend just banged the girl previously.
Yeah, exactly. You're the fuck that saved the world.
Yeah. And you're worried
awesome
about
movie.
And you saved the world, and you're worried about your wife. Like,
you're
what?
married? No, Jesus, no. That was the first HBO original movie. So that was the first one they ever made that was one of their movies, right? That they produced and put out. And I'm telling you, they never topped it. Never.
It was just a really good movie. Everyone, like the little guy that was always like, I think I'll go get some air.
I think I'll take some air.
And then like he's killing people and shit, and like everything about was just cool. You know, it's 1940 whatever, and people are using magic, and it's raining blood, and virgins are hunting unicorns, and it's like
you're using zombie help now. Yeah, import them from Haiti. They're cheap. They come 6 to a box, like bonbon.
Yeah, and after a couple months, you just throw them away and get some new ones.
Yeah. That's why I was really excited about Cody's Adventures in Shadow City setting that we were playing. Because, dude, like to play in that essentially that kind of world, right? It's that kind of setting. And I fucking love that because that is the tits, man. Post World War II, pre-atomic age, magic, hard-boiled detective shit. I'm fucking in, brother. You know, come on.
Yeah, that's the best.
All you steampunks can go fuck yourselves. I'm in for that. You know.
Yeah. So it's really true. You don't use magic. He's like, no.
Yep.
What, you don't believe in it? I believe in it. I just don't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. And you're right. His landlord, she was
the best.
she was like a highlight of the film. That lady, it
Kapotnik
starts
or
with
something.
her, though. In
Yes.
the beginning, it starts with her on the roof, and she's like, something very bad is coming. And I can't do a Jamaican accent, but
No.
you
She's
know.
so good. She's so fucking good. Like, that movie is so fucking good.
I
What
didn't
the
know
fuck
it was an HBO original. I just remember watching it a long, long time ago.
Kapotkin. Hippolyte Kapotkin. What a name.
Yeah. She's teaching ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. The old dude, when he had, I'm not much for dancing.
I ain't much for dancing. Got 2 left feet.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he gives him the other card.
Yep, that's quite a tie. Oh, thanks. Put up much of a fight? No, I snuck up behind it. You don't believe in magic? I believe in it. I just don't use it. Why? Personal reasons. And they are personal.
I mean, that is such an awesome line.
Yep.
For anything, personal reasons. And the guy asks, why? Because they're personal. Come on, dude.
But the thing is that
actor's been in like a ton of other stuff.
Oh, Fred Ward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fred. No,
He's
so
a great
the 2 of them.
actor.
You got David Warner as the rich old man, and David Warner's been in everything. Rest in peace. And you got Fred Ward as the hero. That's Remo fucking Williams, baby.
And on top of that, the bad guy who stole his wife,
Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
And his wife, Julianne Moore.
Yeah, it was like they didn't spare any expense on getting some actors in there.
You know, there was a time when you had to look a man in the eye before you kill him. You owed him that. Yeah, now anyone with a little nerve and a little know-how can do it by tying 6 knots in a piece of string. Ain't modern living grand.
Right. Well, because the one guy gives him writes that stuff down, and then the owner of the diner.
Whatever you pay, it's fine. He's like, read it. And then they have that fight with the demon in the kitchen. Great.
Demon comes out of the freaking stew pot and just rips that dude to shit. Because apparently, if you read whatever the spell is on there, the demon will come and get you.
If you were sensitive at all, the air would crackle in your ears like wax paper. Things are in flux. The auras are bad. Me, I'm going to Florida.
Yeah, she was always like going to Florida. And her very large older brothers who love nothing more than throwing other people's furniture out of windows.
They very much enjoy throwing other people's furniture out of windows. Yeah, she's so good, man.
She really was. I guess that was the whole point I was making, though, is like that movie was made back in like, I don't know,
91, 91, yeah.
And no one gave a shit about the diverse cast, the fact that there was a trans person in it.
No. All the contrivancy it was a good movie generated. So, it was deliberate. It's deliberately created hostility just for political gain, which is the most racist thing you can possibly do.
I watched I think though, because I love it.
I think Bear said one time, like if 10 years ago they decided to cast like Idris Elba as James Bond, they'd be like, oh, he's awesome. If they did it now, it'd be, oh, God damn.
Bullshit.
Well, I know people were freaking out because I guess the new Harry Potter's going to have a black dude playing Snape. And people are freaking the hell out. Now, I will cop to when they race and gender swap Liat Kynes. I was like, why?
Yeah, there was no point to that other than spectacle.
It's like, why are you doing that? Also, why do you people keep casting Zendaya in stuff? She sucks at everything.
He's awful.
Fucking what's his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. I'm so over that fucking guy.
Which one is he again?
Mandalorian. He's now going to be fucking Reed Richards.
Who was it? Who is he?
He was
into?
Max Lord in the Wonder Woman 84.
Which was terrible.
Yeah, but he was good. I got to admit, he played that role really well.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Gal Gadot may be hot as fuck. She is an awful actress. She is an awful, awful actress.
Yeah, if you need a Mediterranean chick in your movie, get the chick that played the hooker in Firefly.
Oh, Marina Baccarin. She's a Brazilian.
Is she? I thought she was Greek.
No, she's half Brazilian. Marina Baccarin. Yeah.
She's got one of those
old.
looks though. She can like pass as like a dozen different.
Yeah, but she's too old now. That was the problem. She's too old to be Wonder Woman, right? It's the same reason why, like, if they were going to, they should have. There was two excellent casting choices on the table for Captain Marvel: Katie Sackhoff and Charlize Theron, and they both. The feeling was they're too old. So we wound up with fucking Brie. I can't, and can't act.
Right. And they had to get a stunt butt in the movie because her butt is so flat.
Because her ass was flatter than fucking what's his name's Tom Holland. I love that one picture where they have a picture of Tom Holland in his Spider-Man costume. You can see his ass, and then they have it beside of her picture. You can see her ass, and Tom Holland has a better ass than her.
It's like, wow, this person, and everybody's like, everyone just hates her because they're a bunch of misogynists. It's like, no, people hate her because she's mean.
She opens her mouth. That's why people hate her. Same reason they hate fucking Rachel Zegler. She opens her mouth and says stupid shit, and then everybody's like, fuck you then. There used to be a time when Hollywood people wanted you to like them, so you would go see their movies.
I think back in the day when, like, you had Humphrey Bogart and shit like that, they had contracts that said that
they had handlers.
They weren't allowed to, like, say stuff that was too.
They weren't allowed to talk about politics, religion, and a bunch of other shit in public. They were just not
anything
allowed.
That would, like, make the studio look at all. Whatever they were not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Their job was basically to show up, do their thing, and go away.
As we used to say in the industry, my friend, and I say this as a bunch of actors standing around talking about this shit, your job is to show up and act, monkey, act. Like, that's it. You're done acting? Shut the fuck up and go get out of your costume. That's it. You know? But no. We live in the age of everybody's got to fucking open their mouth and tell you what they think about the troubles in this place and the problems in that place. And they usually have the worst fucking takes possible because they live in a fucking glass fishbowl.
You know what the thing is, though, is I don't think it's the actor's fault. I think it's
society.
The people who have lionized them to the point that we give a shit what they think.
Yep.
Because I don't think anyone in 1946 really cared what Humphrey Bogart thought. They just wanted to see him an African Queen, you know what I mean, or whatever. But now we're like desperately wanting to know what Katy Perry thinks about shit.
I don't think people really do though, because I mean, look, they look how all out they went in the last election. Nobody gave a shit. They had no influence. I think there's this like generated media perception of everyone listens to us, but I don't think it's real.
Well, with celebrities, I think they're just some people who live vicariously through the celebrities.
There are some people out there who are very much they care what celebrities think and all that kind of shit, and you kind of get stuck listening to their bullshit. And you have to remember, these dumbasses' vote counts the same as yours, which is why it's so important to fucking vote, so you can offset the dumbasses who actually have time in their day to go vote. So that way you can sort of offset them a little bit, and go, well, fuck that guy. I'm going to go vote and make sure that I at least cancel one crazy person's vote.
Yeah, and I don't think that there was any. I mean, honestly, last election, I don't think anyone was ever going to beat the Orange Man.
Oh, God.
There was just something in the air. It was like, I can't explain what it was, but
I can tell you what it was.
That time.
So they switched horses midstream and then pretended like we were all supposed to go, oh, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Like, that's the thing. And then when that shot of him holding up his fist, the American flag behind him, the Secret Service around him, we all said it that day. We went, well, he just won the election.
That's what Bill Maher said. Bill Maher himself said that. He said it's over. I mean, that
And
picture, it's done.
The worst part is,
Because-
James, I knew people who actually thought that was staged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into a big argument with somebody about like, oh, he hired somebody to like, do you have any freaking idea?
No, they don't. They're like my mother watching a cop movie going, well, why don't they just shoot out the tires? Mom, do you have any fucking idea how hard that is to do in a moving
Oh, that
fucking
chick
car
from The
chase?
View, Joy Behar, is it?
She's a moron.
She was with that cop who shot the girl who was like in the process of murdering someone. And she's like, well, he should have shot the knife out of her hand. It's
She
like,
said that?
yeah, on TV. Well, he should have just shot the knife out of her hand.
The people who know
Really?
the least about how firearms actually work are always the ones that run their mouth the most online.
Yep.
It's like, I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
Oh, and you can't hunt with an AR-15. A deer will just explode.
Right?
It's a 22
And it's
caliber
like,
rifle. It's like, what, are you high?
Yeah. If you get the deer in the right place, he'll die. If you get him in the wrong place, he'll run away and die later and become a danger.
yeah, but that's the someone actually said that you can't hunt with AR because if you hit the deer, it'll explode.
That was her too. That
Yeah.
was her too.
And it's like in Kentucky, you can't hunt with an AR because a 223 round, as often as not, is not going to drop a big whitetail.
Not.
Ain't going to do it. You need 7.62 at least.
Yes.
You know, but these idiots. I saw this cop do this thing where he had a mini 14, and it was chambered in 223, right? And he had it with the wood stock, and he was showing it to people, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." And then he like switched it to all black plastic, whatever, and everybody's like, "Oh," you know. And he's like, "It's the same gun." Like nothing changed. The exact same magazine, the exact same cartridge. The only thing that changed is it went from a wood stock to a polymer setup.
Yeah.
And he was trying to show people like, calm down, you know? But it's like people think AR means assault rifle when in fact it means Armalite.
Yep.
Because that's who invented the rifle. Armalite. And it's just like whatever. That bunch, I don't know how they're still on TV, to be honest. I don't get it.
I'm not trying to cause problems with the next thing I say, but I've gotten to the point now where I live in a world where it's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to say this. Never mind.
Oh,
Never mind. Nope.
I don't care what those fat cows on the View say.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, given your audience, I might get away with it, but someone's going to clip cut this, so I'm going to just leave it alone.
Wait, let me get OBS on.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
well, okay. I'm not going to push you on it. I mean, you know, that would be impolite. But
No, what I was
they
about to
are-
say is impolite.
They are definitely something, and
They're like a
Yeah.
bunch of fucking yentas sitting around just running their fucking mouths.
And how many times is that network going to let them get the shit suit out of them? It's like every week.
How much money are they bringing in? It's always going to be your question, sir.
if they are making more than they're paying out, then that's going to be
Joy Reid, that's her name, the lady that got canceled and fired.
right.
Yeah, she wasn't making money.
Yep.
Now she's too controversial because she's not making money. Bye-bye. The View makes money.
Yep.
Ellen made money, you know?
Because every day there's a bunch of freaking boomer ass housewives sitting around watching the View. Like, okay,
I
whatever.
can't believe they would watch that though.
Boomers have become like the arch nemesis of society, civilization, even.
Worst
like-
generation ever, period.
It's like when you see on TV all of these protests that are going on, it's all like 70-year-old people. There might be a couple of young people here and there, but generally it's like boomers. And it's like, of course you're out here because you're retired. You ain't got nothing better to do. You want to relive your glory days of the 60s when you were protesting Vietnam. It's like you own three
Dad,
houses.
no one wants to hear your stupid Vietnam stories. Like, that's where I get with the entire fucking boomer generation.
Right. And it's like,
There were too many of them. They were catered to their entire lives. Everything was always about them. And
yep. And that's just a fact. They
and look what they did to the economy once they started inheriting it. From the 70s on, when they started picking up the economy and getting the economy under their control from let's see, the oldest boomers would have been in their 20s in the 70s, all the way up to today. The boomers have controlled the fucking economy. Has it been particularly good for any of us since the 70s? No. There might have been some bright spots in the 80s and 90s, but has the economy been like, wow, the 1950s, the early 60s? No. They have ruined the fucking economy. And that's just the damn hippies, because they were hippies, they're everything else, and they had everything fucking handed to them on a plate, and they still fucked it up.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, part of that is computers, and part of that is
It has nothing to do with computers. It has to do with their bullshit real estate tactics, their stock investment bullshit. They created the shitty economy we live in.
the hippies.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying there are other complicating factors in it too.
I will fight you on a hill.
The hippies become yuppies, and then some of them also become college professors.
You know what the show really embodies? That there was a show back in the late 80s called 30 something.
Yeah, I remember it.
And all of the worst aspects of what you just described were praised in that show. The guys that were supposed to be the manly men weren't really manly men. They were real estate guys, and they never got their hands dirty. You never see them working on their cars. You never see them do anything. It's just a fucking soap opera, like the prelude to Grey's Anatomy. Nothing ever got resolved in that show. It was just bullshit.
I'm just glad there's not a show on now called 70 something. I'm calling it a win.
70 something.
70 something.
Right. Just a bunch of old boomers standing on the side of the road.
Dude, there's
like
a picture.
The civil rights movement.
Dude, there's a picture from the Canadian election of a boomer giving double deuce fingers to media at a polling station. They got memed the fuck of the Liberal Party of Canada. This is what they think of you, right? And those pricks still won the election because the boomers in Toronto outvoted everybody. Boomers are shit.
You ought to move to Alberta.
Children, no offense, the millennials are second-degree shit. Zoomers are turning out to be pretty okay. They're fairly fucking conservative and rational. And they don't give a fuck about a lot of shit that the last 10 years we've had to deal with. They're like, I don't give a fuck what your gender is. I want to buy a house.
Right.
You know? I don't give a fuck what your sexual identity is. I want to eat food and buy eggs, you know? Like, they're Gen X and the fucking Zoomers need to get together and be more connected, because we can really benefit from that for both of us.
Well, in fairness, a lot of the problem with the millennials was our generation. They were grossly overparented and a reaction.
Why do people think millennials are the children of Gen X? They are not the children of Gen X. They begin being born in 1980. We stopped being born as Gen Xers in 1979.
Oh, was it
millennials are not our fault. They are the boomers' fucking children.
Oh, okay. I like
the
that
Gen
better.
X kids are the ones smoking cigarettes at age 8.
Now, there's some Gen X kids whose mothers were whores, pardon my French, and got knocked up a little young. You know, some millennials have younger mothers, and some of them have late boomer parents. Some Gen X have early boomer parents. But early boomers were way more silent generation than they ever would have been real boomers.
Yeah, we've got how it works where my mom is like girl gets knocked up when she's really young, and then grandparents raise kid.
So if she was early Gen X and she got knocked up young, who was raising her kids? The
Grandparents.
fucking grandparents. And what do they spend all day doing? We stopped the war. We made the civil rights movement happen. We got free fucking housing because we worked at a fucking taco hut and we were able to pay a fucking house after 2 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck this fucking generation. Take their fucking houses away, put them in nursing homes, and flood the market with cheap houses. Fuck them. Cocksuckers. You know why you don't have high-speed rail in the U.S. or Canada? Fucking boomers. That's not going through my backyard. Oh, fuck off, you NIMBY cunt. You know?
I've often wondered why we didn't have a monorail or high-speed rail between Miami and Orlando.
Boomers.
And then Orlando and Jacksonville.
Or New York and Los Angeles. Or
anything.
Houston and Minnesota. Or whatever
Yeah,
the
but I'm
case
more
may be.
concerned with what's going on where I live now. You know, Florida. And it's like, why is there not a high-speed rail or at least some kind of rail from Orlando Regional Airport directly to the Disney area?
You want to know why? Because boomers were car culture. Because they all got fucked in the back seat of their dad's car in 1957. You know what I mean? Cars were their fucking religion. It was the freedom of America. I could drive where I wanted. That's a boomer invention. That's not an American behavior pattern. So everything from the 1950s onward was designed to facilitate what? Cars.
Hey, only the good die young.
Come out, Virginia, don't let me wait. Your Catholic girls start much too late.
Sooner
Yeah, pretty much, man.
it comes down to fate. I might as well,
be the one.
Right? It's criminal that more Remo Williams movies were not made. I agree.
Absolutely. But you know, if they made more of those Staccato, they'd be canceling Joel Grey for playing the Korean character, even though he's not Korean.
Was he the same guy that played the Asian kid in 16 Candles?
No.
Oh, no. That guy, I think, was Chinese or Japanese.
That guy's legit Asian. He's Japanese, I think.
Yeah, he was also in UFC or no, UCF. Was it UHF?
UHF.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
They're
did
so
stupid.
Okay, Weaver-san, you're going to keep the red snapper. Tasty fish.
Yeah, very tasty.
Or you can go for what Toshiro-san is bringing in the box.
Yeah. That shit was hilarious.
His name's Gede Watanabe.
Well, then he's
Yogurt.
Japanese. Watanabe is definitely Japanese.
Yeah. He's also in Gremlins 2. He's the photographer guy that winds up being the cameraman for the vampire show host.
Yeah.
That is such a good but underrated movie.
Gremlins 2?
Yeah.
Gremlins 2 is funny as fuck because it makes fun of Gremlins 1 all the way through.
Yes.
Like the whole thing when he's talking to the cops about you can't feed him after they're like, okay, what if he's on a plane and he eats some food, but he crosses a time zone? Like, you know, all the questions people ask about Gremlins. But the best is when Phoebe Cates starts going on about Lincoln's birthday. It was a guy at the park. He was wearing a long coat and a top hat. Just don't worry about it. They just like that rather than scene.
I love Tony Randall as the head gremlin.
Yeah.
That was
all I'm saying, quid pro quo. And Robert Picardo considering the transgender gremlin after the hormone injection.
Well, there was one of those in the
so
first
hot.
Gremlin movie, though. When they're all hanging out in the bar drinking, and you had like the Bogart gremlin. He's in the corner with his fedora on, and just doing the whole pulp 50s thing, and then you've got the one gremlin with the makeup and the wig. You're like,
you see, that's not civilized. Fun, yes, but hardly civilized.
Oh my god! You know what I just realized?
Long Duck Dong.
Yeah, long. What's your middle name? Duck. What's your last name? Dong. I just realized something. I didn't understand. I didn't know. I just looked up Gremlins 2. The redheaded chick that works for the thing, and she's like, the superpower fucking smoking whatever gets caught in the spider web. That's the actress's name is Haviland Morris. She's Caroline in 16 Candles. The chick they're watching in the shower, having the commentary about how her body should be.
Oh.
the same actress. I never realized that before. That's fucking awesome.
I like
Shut
Gremlins
up,
2 quite a
nerdy.
bit.
Nerdy.
I think that's one of the best movies that they made, only for the fact that they let Joe direct that movie the way he wanted to.
Yep. That's the only reason he would do it. Was the only reason he would do it. He said, if you let me do what I want, because he doesn't do sequels, Joe Dante. He was like, you let me do what I want, I'll do it. And
Yeah, well, more producers. There's been a lot of movies that got ruined by the studio.
oh, I can tell you.
Dropping in
Ice Pirates.
stupid shit.
Me and Janet reviewed Ice Pirates, and Janet discovered that MGM had just switched studio heads, and he was out to make a name for himself, and he hated sci-fi movies. So anything that was a sci-fi movie coming out in 1984 from MGM had his handprints all over it, and he went and destroyed the ending for that movie. And so they had to go back and re-edit, bastardize whatever they could, salvage whatever they could in post-production, and that's why we got the shit ending of Ice Pirates. Thank you, Janet, for discovering
What was originally supposed to happen?
There was supposed to be a whole arc that
Highlander too.
there's like
Yeah.
10 minutes of footage that got destroyed, where there's a whole arc where they basically do everything right, but instead they have the time flux thing go on, and they pulled Robert Ulrich back for makeup work for a few days, and they filmed what they could to do that, and then they bastardized and cut some other things in, and it was the lackluster ending that we got. It was supposed to be a completely different heroic arc. It's on the IMDb page, if I remember right. The hints of it are on the IMDb page, and then Janet went and found the rest of it.
Well, good.
Have a co-host that loves to research movies and why something got fucked up beyond belief, and you'll have good content. Like whenever we reviewed Waterworld, Janet went deep into that, and I had a hard time just watching that movie. I couldn't believe how badly my first watch and opinion of it was. My
Really?
second watch, yeah, there's so many parts in it where I'm wondering what the fuck happened with the script, and then I find out Kevin Costner basically took over as director for that movie on set, and he became a first unit director because he wasn't enjoying what the director was trying to do with it. And so Janet explains to me that whenever he gets involved with any project, it turns into Kevin cost more because everything goes through the roof on budget, and he ruins basically everything he touches. I don't know how
Any of you gone to see Thunderbolts?
Have
Not
not.
yet.
Is it good?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
This is new.
I'm hearing mixed reviews.
Then it's probably good. If the reviews are mixed, it's probably good.
Yeah, I basically almost never go to movies anymore. The last movie I saw Dune 2, but it had been like 8 years, I think, before since I had seen a movie in the theater.
See, I need to watch Far From Home, Spider-Man 3, and I keep wanting to see that, and I'm like, nah, I won't do that today.
What's the next movie you're doing on your show?
On mine, next week
Yeah.
we're going to be doing what is that? Manhunter?
Oh, we're doing that? I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do it yet because I want to have Janet there because she hasn't seen it yet, and I want to see what her opinion is of it too. Whenever how much we agree or disagree on it.
That was
Have
the
you
one
seen
that
it
was.
yet?
Brian Cox.
Yeah,
Tell me about it. Brian Cox is a way better fucking Hannibal Lecter than whatever Anthony fucking overacted. Yeah. That whole scene. Have you seen Manhunter, right, Bruce?
No, not yet.
Oh, fuck. There's so much I want. Okay, we have to watch it so we can talk about it, man.
Yep, we'll do that next week. I have no problem watching that. I've been wanting to watch that, but for the past 2 weeks, Janet's been out of town. So, I mean,
RPG Dad. Costner ruins things? No.
well, he's one of those guys. I think he's good in movies if he's directed well. He was awesome in A Perfect World, the Clint Eastwood movie. He was awesome in that.
Well, probably because if he tried to take that shit over, Clint Eastwood would be like, "Look, I'll take you behind the shed here with your ass." You know what I'm saying? You don't want to mess with him, but I don't know. I can't think of a movie he's in that I actually liked.
Dances with Wolves was good.
Mm,
I like The Postman.
mm.
That was all right.
No, Dances with Wood pissed me off because of one simple fucking Hollywood bullshit lefty moment. No one reads this book because they can't read, so I'll just use this book for toilet paper. Here's the problem. The percentage capita of Americans who could read during that time period is higher than today because it was the only way to get information was to read.
That makes sense. If you couldn't read, then you couldn't literally read a newspaper or a telegraph or nothing.
Nothing. Like people are like this is such a Hollywood. People were stupider in the past, but there were these bright lights that were the super. Fuck off. Learn real history.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's kind of like when you think about the founding fathers of the United States, their age when they got involved in that shit. Most of them were in their like mid-late 20s.
Yeah, 20s and 30s mostly.
Yeah, I think Ben Franklin might have been the oldest of the lot, you know. And
somebody mentioned in the movie night the other night about like the teeth. It's like actually bad teeth is like a recent thing. They go back to like ancient like skeletons they find. They have beautiful fucking teeth.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what your diet is. If you're like,
it's the sugar. It's when they started using sugar in Europe. That's when everybody's teeth went to shit.
Yeah. Or if that's why British people still got the issue because they're always putting sugar in their tea.
Want some whiskey in your coffee and sugar in your tea?
I was thinking the same thing. It's all these questions they asking me.
That cigarette you're smoking, it scared me half to death. Open up the window, sucker. Let me catch my breath.
Yeah. Mama told me not to come. That was the song that was number 1 on the chart. Not that one, Jeremiah's Bullfrog, when I was born. And the song makes no damn sense. Because it literally starts out as Jeremiah was a bullfrog, but he was a good friend of mine. And I could never understand
a single word he said.
Wine.
But I have to drink his wine.
And then glory to the world. You know, it's like. But it was uplifting. And I think it was a time when people wanted to be uplifted. You know,
good song.
Vietnam was drawn to an end. And, you know, it was like.
Damn good song.
Yep, damn good song.
Yeah, they've kind of disappeared. You never hear Three Dog Night anymore.
Yeah, but what's wild is in the 70s, they had so many hits.
Yeah, they were everywhere. But
Another
even
band
like classic
like
radio
that,
doesn't really play them anymore.
Another band that's like that, Doc, is the Turtles.
Yeah.
Well, that one song.
The number of number 1 hits the Turtles have, they get close to the Beatles. Not quite exactly as many, but they got a lot. You know what I mean?
And you know, it's been probably 20 years since somebody said the Turtles in a flowering light around me, James. That's impressive. Thank you for bringing back that good memory.
Andrew Jackson, allegorical. Jeremiah was an other of some kind socially, from the writer's perspective, who he used for booze. I think that's thinking too much into it, but okay.
Well, that sounds like some commie bullshit.
I like to think that Jeremiah was just a bullfrog.
Yep.
He had wine, and I don't know why, but then again, I play D&D, so.
And no one was asking why he had the wine. No one cared. They just liked the wine.
And they hung out and drank the wine, and then they said, glory to the world, all the boys and girls, and glory to the fishes in the deep blue sea. right? And love for you and me or whatever. I mean,
I got bad news for you there, Bubba.
what?
The Turtles only ever had one #1 hit. They had a lot of chart toppers, but they only had one #1 hit, and that's "Happy Together."
Happy Together. Not even
That's
my
it.
favorite song either.
It had
My
lots of
favorite
other stuff
Turtles
break the
song
top
was Go
40,
Away
but
From My Window. And I think they might have either redone it or I don't know if they're the originators of that song or if they did a cover of it.
which song?
It Ain't Me.
Don't know
Because
that one.
it's out, go away from my window. I'm
It ain't me,
not the
babe.
one you want.
Yeah, it ain't me, babe. It's in
Yeah,
their
it ain't
discography.
me, babe. No,
Let's
no,
see.
no, it ain't me, babe.
Singles in the U.S. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 top 100 songs in their career.
The
The
Bangles?
Bangles?
The Turtles.
Oh, the
Oh,
Turtles?
the Turtles? Oh, yeah, they were killing it. They were killing it. They had the one guy in the band that didn't play any instruments. He just kind of clowned around on stage all the damn time.
That's
And he
still
was
a valuable
constantly
tactic.
trying to get the lead singer to laugh in the middle of songs and shit. But they were best friends, so they just kept him in the band.
You get to carry the luggage.
Yeah. The weed was better back then, yeah. I have
Weed
heard
was
Johnny
less potent.
Cash do It Ain't Me, but I don't know if he wrote it or if he covered the Turtles or who did what with what. We're not here to argue about who killed who and with what.
Let's not travel about who killed who. This is an happy occasion.
Yeah. But need that job title for my resume. There you go. Marked by right.
You know, I bet Bear could do a hell of a Brian Cox impersonation of Agamemnon.
Brian Cox is not one I've ever mastered, to be quite honest.
What did you guys think of Troy? I had very mixed feelings. about
Loved it. I loved it.
I think the Hector Achilles fight was one of the best
The only time Eric Bana played a character that didn't look fucking insane. Eric Bana has crazy eyes, and somehow they lit it properly so he didn't look fucking insane in that
Who's
movie.
Eric Bana?
He played
He was Hector in Troy.
Oh, yeah. I liked him in Troy.
Nero in Star Trek 2009. Fuck that movie.
That was the same dude? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he was the Hulk in Ang Lee's The Hulk.
Huh.
That's supposed to be a good Hulk movie. I've never seen it.
Okay. The only good casting choice in it is Jennifer Connelly as Ross.
Ross's daughter?
Yeah, what's her fucking name? Can't think of her name right now.
Well, when in doubt, Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, but the problem is when they made the actual Marvel Universe one with fucking what's his name?
Liv Tyler.
Yeah, they put Liv Tyler in there, and she's awful. Liv Tyler was never the right choice for anything other than Empire Records. That's the only movie she was ever any good in.
I'll agree with that.
Maybe Jeremiah was a bullywug.
Wasn't a real friend of mine.
Actually, Hoot was based on an actual Delta operator, but the operator he was based on, Andrew Jackson, had done some things with some kids at some point.
Yeah, I have a friend who was there, and he will remain nameless, though he has been around, not here, but he's known in my circles. He was there at the time, and when we were talking about it, because he was telling me he was in Mogadishu, I'm like, fuck, so Black Hawk Down? He goes, I was fucking there. I went, oh, how accurate was the movie? He goes, well, let's just say that a lot of fucking good soldiers lost their lives for a kitty diddler. And I was just like, oh, shit, that wasn't in the movie. You know?
Yeah, they completely washed that character.
Yeah, I know the two Delta guys that jumped out of the helicopter against orders. Those were real dudes, Green Berets or whatever, operators. And it was those two against hundreds of guys for like hours. They both died, but they expended like thousands of rounds of ammo. They were like picking up the AKs that their enemy were dropping and
They would
Just
commandeer
go
the
ahead.
ad.
Oh, Black Betty, ram a lamb.
One of the funniest things you can do with your life is go online and on YouTube and type in
Black Betty
people
reaction.
reaction.
Oh my fuck.
God.
And just make sure you click on every time the video shows African American people watching it. You
That's
will
the one.
fucking
That's
cry
the
laughing
shit.
at their reactions.
Like what's crazy is
These are
they
white
love
boys?
it.
How are these white boys?
They love it. Yeah. It's
Uh.
like you watch the black guys listening to him and they're like, oh, he's got a black girl down in Alabama, huh? What's going on?
Now, is there? I've heard rumors that this was actually originally was an old British marching song that they just like retempoed, and that it was about the Black Betty
Makes
rifle.
sense. I mean, our national anthem, I think, is an old English pub song.
Yeah, to Anacreon in heaven.
So, I mean, but yeah,
So Black Betty is a 20th century African American work song, often credited to Huddie Ledbetter as an author in the blah blah blah. Yeah, it was in 1939 that he released that song. It was a work song for working in the fields.
Well, I know who Leadbelly is because he's the one that recorded In the Pines. And, you know, so I know who he is. I like that song. And then Dolly Parton did a remake and Kurt Cobain did a live remake, which was pretty good. But it's a really good song. It's one of those, you know.
But Black Betty was a British slang term in the borderlands between Northern England and Southern Scotland for a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, but I don't think he was talking about a bottle of whiskey.
No.
Because, I mean, she had a child and that damn things went wild.
Damn thing gone wild, wham a lamb. Oh, Black Betty, she's always ready.
Yeah, she's so rock steady. Wham a lamb. And look, she really gets me.
Wham a lamb.
Wham a lamb.
And that no lie. Exactly.
Apparently, the band spent all the money they were given to make the video on weed. So then they just decided to film what they filmed in one of their backyards.
Yeah, it was like a barbecue. And that's the other thing the guys also, when you watch these guys, they're like, are they having a cookout?
Yeah, you know, they're like another band that did that, which people either love or hate, Typo Negative. For their second album, they were given all this money and they immediately drank all the money away. So then they put out the second album and it's all covers. So, you know, down, you know, or I want to live with a cinnamon girl, but it's all Typo Negative doing it. It's like, because they, you know, and then of course the lead singer, they called Peter Still, but his real name was like Pietre Stolovic or something. Died of he was an alcoholic and he had the thing where you have the like little pocket in your intestine. Diverticulitis. Okay. And he ate something and it got septic in his intestine. And because he was drinking all the time,
until it was too late.
He didn't notice until he died. Yeah, it was like his biggest issue was he agreed to be naked in Playgirl and then later found out that the majority of people who get Playgirl were dudes. And it like bothered him for a little while, but then when he got older, he realized he didn't care. But that's a true story of a thing that happened. He was like a 7 foot tall Pole or Serb or some shit. Like in the one video, Black Number One, he's playing a stand-up bass, but he's holding it like a normal bass guitar. You know, with a chain around his neck.
Steel.
Yeah, that guy was crazy. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna have to take off because you probably heard a ruckus. That's my.
Can you describe the ruckus?
Well, one of his eyes is lazy and used to be white, but every year he just gets darker and then more darker. Uncle Ruckus.
I was referring to Breakfast Club, but that's okay.
Yeah. Can you describe the ruckus? Peter still refused treatment because he's worried about his cat and died. Yeah, it was really sad. But anywho, I'll catch all of you fine people
Bye
later.
now.
I'm going to
Later
go
on.
run some old school